Welcome back to the show, everybody. Keith, how are you, my man?
Today is the best day of my life, Ben. How you doing?
Today is the best day of my life. We have an awesome guest here, so I'm going to throw it back to you so you can introduce them, and then we can throw the floor over to Nicole.
Nicole, how's it going?
Oh, you're on mute.
It's going good. How are you guys?
Good. Better now.
Fantastic.
Good.
Super excited to have you with us, Nicole. Found you on YouTube literally just a few days ago, and looked into what you're up to and the things that you're talking about. So super excited to have this conversation today. From what I understand, you are a real estate professional and also have experience managing a fund and kind of raising money in that space and obviously deploying capital in that space as well. But I'll step back for a second, say what's up to the chat, everybody, and then we'll kind of hear more about what you're doing as well.
Yes. So we've got Frank. What's going on? Great to have you with us. Hello from Texas. Hello. Salute to you, Carlton. Hope you're doing fantastic. We appreciate all of you guys coming in and chilling with us. Dave, I see you at the top there. Can't forget about Dave. And yeah, we're super excited. Keith, where should we start with this one?
Let's go. So Nicole, my introduction was a little lackluster. Do you mind giving people a little bit of a background on yourself as well?
It's all right. So I am a private equity fund manager. We invest in apartment buildings and assisted living facilities. Just to give you some context on my background and how I even got here. I've been in finance for a very long time. I actually majored in finance and real estate in college. And it's crazy that I ended up doing the thing that I majored in. But I used to be a bond trader on Wall Street for a long time. And
Wow.
then I became an entrepreneur 16 years ago. Actually, this May will make it 16 years. So I started out actually my very first business. I owned a online boutique. This is all the way back in like 2010, 2009, before everybody was doing it. Out of necessity, taught myself web design, ended up having a very flourishing digital media marketing agency. By that time, I was like, okay, now I'm ready to get into real estate. Went to get into real estate and realized it was not actually easy. So I said, okay, I'm going to educate myself. I'll do these little events where I'll have, because I know a lot of people, I have different people that I know in real estate, educate me. Anyone who wants to come along, they can join. First meeting, we had four people in the meeting. Next people, we literally had people spilling out the door. That grew into, I had to basically stop doing my digital marketing agency and run this community. Got multiple awards. At the time I was living in the city of Philadelphia, multiple awards from the city of Philadelphia. I did 9 large conferences around investing in real estate, ran about 2022. So first of all, when COVID happened, now I worked in finance when the 2008 crash happened. I was a bond trader that day. Okay. Wow. I'm probably much older than y'all. Okay. So I was a bond trader. I remember that day. I lived on the West Coast at the time. So a typical trading day, we had to be to work at 4:30 because bond markets open up at 7, 8 o'clock. I can't remember. That was so long ago. We had to be work at 4:30 every day. You got off at 2. We didn't leave that day until about 5, 6, 7 o'clock that night. Okay. It was crazy.
And this is while you were in Philly, correct? Or
I was actually in California. I've lived in California twice. Irrelevant at this point. I'll be hopping all over the place. Now I'm in Georgia. So anyways, I already saw the writing on the wall because it was a lot of things that was very similar, raising rates, just the uneasiness in the economy. When COVID happened and they pumped all that money into the economy, I'm like, oh, okay, I already know what's going to happen. While people were like, yeah, we're going to be locked inside for 3 months. I'm like, what are y'all talking about? Have you read a history book before? Like, we're going to be in this for 3 years. And then when we get out, we're going to have inflation. And then that'll be another problem. So I immediately already started taking my business, because I was running this community, but most of it was in person. But I immediately took my business digital, online, moved. I was living in Philly at the time. I moved to California. I said, I wanted to get back to California, but I had this in-person business. Got back to California, started. I already knew, because there was so much money pumping into the economy. I rehabbed more properties. I'm also a general contractor. I rehabbed and invested in more properties remotely during that time when one of my friends calls it the bandemic, when all that money was in circulation. Everybody had all the bands. Okay. So then I realized, like, okay, it's actually going to start getting tighter, like around 2022-ish, right when they started raising interest rates.
Right.
Again, people are like, yeah, they'll raise interest rates and they'll come back down. No, it's not. We're going to be in this for 3 years. I told everybody this on my YouTube channel, the YouTube channel that just started popping off. I told everybody live. I said, we're going to be in this for 2 or 3 years. Interest rates are going to be elevated. That's going to change the game for everything residential investing. Okay. So I started telling everybody this, started making some changes in my portfolio. I knew, there hasn't been any mass coverage, but the next wave is going to be apartment investing, period, point blank, because all this stuff is happening. Workforce, like we have a affordability crisis. Where are people going to live? It's going to be a luxury just to own a single family or to live in a single family, like way more of a luxury than it is now. Where are people going to live? Apartment buildings. It's just more economical. So 2020, the end of 2023, I was like, okay, I'm selling all my properties and I'm going to start investing in apartment buildings. I had to wrap my head around that. Like, that was like a whole identity shift.
Because you were doing single family homes at the time.
I was doing single families at the time.
Yep.
In addition to running this community, that was like a part of my identity. And I didn't realize, if I know what I know now, I would have just took action way quicker. But I had to, it was a lot of things going on internally. Who knows, right? So between December 2023, when I decided I was going to start selling my single families and investing in multifamily, it took me about a year to start my fund with my partners, to really decide that that's how I was going to do, because I didn't want to do syndication. And we can talk about why in a minute, but I didn't want to do syndication. I knew that I wanted to do a fund because I already understood how that works. So at that time, go back like 12, 13 years, when I issued commercial paper, I worked with funds. That's who I talked to. I worked with the traders of the funds. That's who I talked to every day. So I already knew that that's really where the money is. Okay.
Buy side.
So I had to wrap my mind around my identity behind, okay, I'm a general contractor. I'm not clearly I'm not banging any nails. Okay. But I've run this general contracting enterprise where I'm rehabbing my own properties, pulling my own permits, and just understanding the ins and outs of investing through forced appreciation, right? And doing that, and then also having this side business where I run this community, and that was like my identity. So it took a whole entire year behind untangling that, and then shifting to what does this new version of me look like? How and what capacity am I going to do it? What does that mean? What does it mean for me on a day-to-day basis? And so it took about a year, and then so we're a little over a year now doing the fund. To be honest with you, it took us 10 months to actually launch the fund, get to the point where we have our paperwork signed. That's a whole nother thing.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it takes people way longer. So they say it takes about a year. If you know what you're doing, 6 months, but it's a lot of small things that you have to work on throughout the course of a year.
Understood.
So here I am. I think that's everything.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And it definitely will help us to understand the background for where it is that we're coming to this conversation with today, which is where we're going to talk a little bit about this great wealth transfer that's occurring, which a lot of real estate plays a big role in that as well, and what's occurring here. So I'm going to tee this up a little bit with a couple of graphics, a graphic and a short clip from a man named John Hope Bryant. Are you familiar with John Hope Bryant, by the way? Okay, of course.
Yeah.
Awesome. And then we will dive back into this discussion fully. So right now, for anyone who isn't aware, there is this concept going on. It's called the Great Wealth Transfer. And this is mostly happening within the United States, where we have baby boomers leaving significant wealth to their heirs. And baby boomers, and then what is called the silent generation, which is above them, older than them, are going to hand over around $84 trillion in assets through to 2045, with 72 trillion going directly to their heirs. Now, the thing about all of this, and I'll let John Hope Bryant say it himself, is that a lot of these businesses, a lot of this wealth is something that the younger people aren't necessarily super well equipped to take over or even wanting to take over at all. And so quickly here, just to kind of look at the graphic of where these generations line up to, because this is something that for me, I don't even know what generation is which. So we can see the most recent generation, Gen Alpha, then it's Gen Z, that starts 1997. Ben, are you Gen Z?
No, I think I just missed the cut. I'm a 96.
Okay. I'm technically Gen Z, and I don't think that that's appropriate. You've got millennials and Gen Y from 81 to 96, Generation X from 1965 to 1980, and then these baby boomers right here from 1946 to 64 who have built incredible wealth throughout their lives and are ready to pass it down. And then you have the silent generation that was right before them. Some of them are still around and also are participating in this wealth transfer that is occurring. But just to kind of like give the anecdotal look at this, right? You're talking about like HVAC companies, you're talking about plumbers, you're talking about like the dirty business, the flooring, all the stuff that people our generation like don't even know the first things about trying to like get something placing some flooring, right? Or going out and doing some landscaping and things of that nature. A lot of us, let me speak for myself here, are not really all that well equipped to be taking over a business like that. So I'll play this clip from John Hope Bryant because he really illustrates this even better than I can.
Years. 15 trillion of that are businesses. Successful, profitable. Real estate having, brand having. They've been in business for 10 years, but what they don't have is a succession plan. The kids don't want the business. The wives don't want the business. The husbands don't want the business. They want the cash, the bonds, the stocks, the businesses. They want to go party because the first generation makes it, second generation spends it, third generation loses it. Am I going too fast? So out of the 100 trillion, there's 15 trillion. That's going to transfer in the next 5 to 10 years. These are successful businesses. Think about the biggest nursery in your little town. Think about the biggest dentist in your town. Think about the biggest daycare network in your little town. Go buy it. Yep. Don't do a startup for $25,000 on a GoFundMe campaign. It's going to go out of business in 3 weeks and your cousin's going to hate you. You have the money from them. Go buy a company with $1 million of existing cash flow and profitability with assets underneath it and get the bank to finance it on an asset-based financing with non-recourse debt.
So that part at the end was probably the part that might have been the most confusing, talking about non-recourse debt. Nicole, in general, would love to hear your thoughts on this great wealth transfer. I know you said you've got some personal anecdotes of things happening around you. Can you talk to us a little bit about your thoughts on this and what you're seeing with all of this?
So the wealth transfer is actually bigger than just the transfer from the generations and generations. We are in a very unique time. So wealth transfer just means the wealth goes from one group of people to another group of people, right? So you talked about the intergenerational transfer, right? These people are aging, so on and so forth. But we're also at the very same time, we're in the middle of a technology boom. Okay. Mm-hmm. During any technology boom, there is always a wealth transfer. Always. Okay. So think like the Industrial Revolution. Bunch of people got rich. Think about technology revolution. Bunch of people got rich. We're in the AI revolution. People get rich, and not just from the AI businesses themselves, just because the picks and shovels. That's all I'm going to keep saying. The picks and shovels, right? The businesses that serve the AI businesses, the businesses that's making money from transferring the AI business. You understand what I'm saying?
Totally.
So there is just going to be this wealth transfer. The last reason why there is a wealth transfer is because we're in a silent recession. Really, probably a depression.
Yeah,
There's
it does feel like
always a
that.
wealth transfer, right? There's always a wealth transfer during a depression. So you got these three things happening at the same time. And if people think, the people that externalize whatever is keeping them down, they think that they cannot get in on this. Anybody, that's what a wealth transfer is. You can go from zero to hero in a matter of months.
So
So
true.
there's huge, huge, huge opportunity. I love that John Hope Bryant clip that you played, because he gave the exact, if your eyes are not opened, he gives the exact play in a matter of seconds. And so some of y'all overcomplicating this, and you think like, oh, I gotta know this, I gotta do it. No, he gave you the play. It's the exact seconds. But I'm gonna give you a step further, okay? So he basically says, I'm gonna break it down to make it really, really easy. Hey, you got these baby boomers that don't want their businesses, and their kids don't want the businesses. They don't. A friend of mine right now, she doesn't want to run her business anymore. And when you don't want to run the business anymore, your brain goes like, I'm just going to let it go. The thought of selling and what that person thinks about what selling is overwhelming to them. So there are a number of ways that you can go to this person who doesn't want to run their business and acquire the cash flows and acquire the assets and acquire the business while making it really, really easy on them. There's a number of ways you can do this. You can get a bank to finance it. When the bank does, if you get this type of loan, if the bank finances the purchase, it's non-recourse on you personally. So if the business fails, the bank's not going to come after you personally. That's what non-recourse means.
Thank you.
They're not going to come after you. Okay. The other thing, these people want out so bad, sometimes you can do owner financing where they say, hey, let's say the business is clearing them in profit $10,000 a month. Let's just pretend like it's $10,000 a month. They'll say, hey, for you step in, you get this $10,000 a month cash flow, but I want 5,000 of it up until the business is paid off. That's owner financing. So you could theoretically, because remember, these people, they don't know how to sell a business. They just want out of it. So you could theoretically come and purchase this business from them with $0 out of your pocket. Theoretically. In between those two options that I gave you, there are millions of infinite combinations that you can do.
Love it.
Right? Now I'm going to take it a step further. And this is why I do the type of content on my channel, because I want to help people to learn how to think. Okay. What I would do, I'm actually thinking about this, like, because I've had this idea, but just to see him say that is kind of putting a fire under my butt. What I would do if I were in a position and I'm thinking like, okay, I could buy a business, right? The part that scares people the most is, yeah, I'm going to buy this HVAC business or whatever. The part that scares people most is, I don't know nothing about HVAC business. That's scary, right? So what you do, and this is the structure of private equity. What you do is you go find someone that you like and you trust and you want to do business with, and that understands HVAC. Okay. You partner with them and you say, listen, and I don't want to get into the weeds of specifically how you structure it, but you say, hey, listen, let's form a company, me and you together, where we're going to acquire about 5 or 6 HVAC businesses. Your job is to simply analyze them. You know the business. We go into negotiations, you go out with their techs, you see what they're doing, you see what their process is. You don't like them, we don't buy it. When we do acquire them, all you got to do is make sure that everybody is doing your system. Me, on the other hand, I'm going to focus on structuring the acquisition. And if that means negotiating, no cash in, fine. If that means raising a little bit of money, fine. If that means your name goes on the book for the banks because your HVAC friend, maybe he's got bad credit, but my name goes on the book for the banks, cool. Or simply, I'm the one that came up with this idea. That's called a fund manager. That's what fund managers do.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know, they don't understand the underlying asset. They partner with people who understand it. Give them a portion of the GP. Again, I don't want to get into details. Give them a portion of the GP. Hey, we're business partners. You know this stuff. I don't. I just understand the structuring of how to structure private equity.
100%. Yeah, one of the favorite things that you shared that was a recurring theme through all that, Nicole, is the fact that you said how to think, right? Because I think there's so many opportunities, and when there is this grab for opportunity, the creative thinkers are able to take advantage of that completely, right? And we always preach the same thing where people always come to a reason why they can't. It's like that's only creativity away from solving that problem, whether it be connecting with a person like you said, or maybe educating yourself on that. So yeah, there's so many opportunities in a lot of businesses that people are just completely missing. So that was awesome.
Thank you.
And Nicole, I remember you telling me that you feel like there are specific types of businesses that people should potentially be avoiding when thinking about going out and trying to make these kinds of acquisitions, and then also maybe some that might be easier or better to look at. How are you thinking about that?
So avoiding, first of all, this ain't investment advice, y'all.
Of course, never is.
This
No
is
financial advice,
informational entertainment purposes only. Avoiding. We are in a very volatile market environment right now. I think you should avoid anything that's aspirational, that's marketed to the middle class, right? And by that, I mean, like, I want to steer clear of saying I don't think you should avoid luxury things, anything that's expensive to the middle class. So like, I want to make sure I keep thinking of this example that's very specific, and I don't want to talk trash on anybody, but like, if you have a clothing business that sells $300 jeans and you're marketing it to everyday people 5 years ago, 3 years ago, yeah, let's ball out. Let's blow a bag on some jeans. Here you go. Here's this luxury thing. That's just not what it is right now. Everyday people, they're just not doing it. They're not going to be able to do it. They're not doing it. I don't know if y'all see, but foreclosures are through the roof right now. You already know what that's an indicator of. Banks, regional banks are selling off their treasuries like nobody's business. You already know that's a lagging indicator. Things have changed. Okay. So I always talk about like when there's a recession, right? So if you think about the wealth distribution, it's a bell curve, right? So like the people who make a little bit of money, they're on one end. The people who make the middle, they're in the middle. And then the rich people is less of them, right? So it's a bell curve, okay? So strong first world countries, they have a strong middle class, that big gap. And so you can sell them aspirational products. It's great, strong. But what a recession is it thins out that middle class. So I'm laughing because on the next episode of the podcast I'm going to upload, I talk about, it's called a double hump. The double hump is going to double hump. So if you think about the bell curve, it goes down a little bit, right? And so when we're in a recession or volatility times, let's not call it a recession because nobody's saying that. Recession is technically 2 consecutive shrinking GDPs. And who knows, these numbers are super fudged. So who knows what's really hitting right now, okay?
Right.
So let's not call it a recession, okay? We call it a volatility session. That's what we'll call it.
Rebrand.
Volatility session. All right. So that middle class is going to be shrinking out. So double hump. The double hump going double hump. So what does that mean? You got more people on the lower income end and more people on the high income end. So if you're going to sell something luxury or something that's expensive, it's got to be specifically for rich people.
Love that.
Okay.
Yep.
Or sell quantity to less than rich people. I don't want to say poor people. Less than rich people. So steer clear of those businesses. The other types of businesses that I think that people should go for We are in a volatility session. We're gonna come up with a name for this. A volatility session. Okay. There's a lot of confusion, or just fear. How can you, what businesses service the people in their fear and confusion? You're going to have people doing low quality things that help with their mental wellness. Low, low price, not quality.
Mhm.
Low price things that help with their mental wellness.
That's a great point.
Or shows like ours where we're giving clarity around the confusion because you're too busy to comb through all this data that you and I comb through. You post a post on Instagram, Keith, every 3 seconds. I got time. Keith is like, I got time. So you don't. So your content is going to do well because you're servicing the effects of the volatility. This show, y'all don't got time. I got time. I don't have a job. I ain't had a job in 16 years, okay? And I got a 5-year-old that I got to go home and sit, and while he's watching that bull crap that he's watching on TV or, playing, I'm looking at reports. Yeah, here go the car. Okay. Oh, dang, look at this report. I got time. You don't got time. You understand what I'm saying?
Totally. Yeah, 100%.
So those are the types of businesses that I think will do well during these times.
Yeah, no, we've talked about the K-shaped economy so many times, Keith, and how that's just becoming a reality. And I think a lot of people, they fail at entrepreneurship because they don't think about the problem holistically. Much like Nicole just said, we can't fight the numbers that are happening, right? Like you or I can be angry about it, but we can't change it like this. So go where the puck is going is a hockey analogy I always give as a Canadian. And I guess it's timely with the Olympics, but it's very true, right? Like you either want to sell to people who have the money or sell to people that need to buy the service. We've talked about an inelastic demand a lot here on the show, where regardless of the situation, people's income, like they have to pay for something. And so if you're not in one of those two camps, it's going to be difficult to run a business. So that's great advice, because I think a lot of people, they hear this great wealth transfer and they're like, okay, I'm just gonna go buy the first business that I can find and I'm going to roll with that. And Nicole is basically saying, like, you could be signing up for a world of hurt if you haven't thought about all those things.
Most certainly. And then Nicole, I wanted to, like, for people who are thinking to themselves, like, maybe there is a business that's near me that I could go out and acquire. Whether it's like the local laundromat. I saw someone talking about laundromats in the chat. People talking about, I think some stuff about real estate even came up, and we'll definitely dive a little bit deeper into real estate. Some people said, don't do restaurants. They said, don't do law offices in the chat. I was seeing that. But so, Nicole, if someone really wanted to go about and do this, what would actually be the step-by-step process of, hey, I see this business, I want to buy it. What do I do from here?
So first, you might want to talk to a broker, right? The brokers exist, a business broker, they exist. Okay. I would start there. One, give them your criteria, see if they can actually send you some businesses. Two, pick their brains. They're probably y'all already know this, but you're not going to get the real from MSN, Bloomberg, Wall Street Journal. I used to love the Wall Street Journal, but you're just not getting the real, especially on a micro level when we're talking about these small businesses. When you start talking to brokers, they know what's going on. Okay. That's way easier than just looking at a business. I want your business. Hey, can you sell me your business? Right. So I would steer clear of doing that. I would work with brokers. Also to create, if this is something you really want to do, create a brand around it. Start the same way you would market any other business. Hey, I'm in the business of acquiring business. Take from how wholesalers do. Hey, I want your house. I buy ugly houses. Hey, you got a business you don't want? Here are some real criteria. Book a call and see if you qualify. Right? So get really crafty with it. But there are brokers. It's not complex to have these conversations. Have conversations with multiple brokers, though, because some brokers, I talked to a broker some years ago about selling a business. and he gave me, he was old, and he gave me some really wrong information. But then I talked to another broker who was spot on. So interview a bunch of them. I mean, you're in no commitment. The only way they get paid is if the deal gets done, right? Don't allow them to make you sign something that just is unreasonable. You know, hey, I get a commission even if you don't buy, but we're paying me this amount of money. No, 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 no. If we get it done, you get paid.
That's actually a really good cheat code because the broker, right, has already done transactions, right? So all of the subsequent steps that come after finding and identifying the business, they've already done. They've got the relationships potentially as well. They can tell you exactly who to find as far as a lender. They can tell you exactly how to get your books in order. And like you said, if they are only getting paid when the deal is done, then they're incentivized to do and help you do all of the things that get that deal done. So it's actually a really interesting hack there.
You know who else is good? Because I actually have some first-hand experience with this. Talk to certain commercial real estate agents, the ones who only do like large office buildings. They have to also be brokers because those deals are so few and far between. They got to get those deals to the finish line. So I'll give you a perfect example of my experience. Our fund invests in apartment buildings and assisted living facilities. We've had this relationship with this broker for so long. I don't even remember how we originally connected with them, but we work with them. I think we were trying to buy an assisted living facility that didn't work. Then another facility came up and they reached out to us. And to make a long story short, they have gone above and beyond, brought us investors so that this deal could get done. And they're just an agent. And then when we talk to them about like, hey, come on, so you can raise capital for us, they're like, nah. So I'm saying all this to say they want to get whatever the commercial deal done. They know there's a business attached to it. So the business actually has to make sense for the deal to get done. So with that being said, I'm not saying go to a broker and pretend like you're going to buy a building. Go to a commercial agent and just say, hey, I'm looking to buy some businesses. Do you know anything? They might want a small cut, and that's fine.
Right.
Talk to people who seem like they're getting deals done. You already know a good agent is going to be an extrovert no matter what. There's a good agent is a connector. So you don't have to feel bad about the fact that, you know, most people don't like when you say, hey, let me pick your brain. Agents love it.
Yeah, it's a thing. Yeah.
They love it because that's how they make money.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So call your local agent and say, hey, can I pick your brain?
Love that. And then so another thing that sometimes an agent will do, and you can tell me what you think of this. You said, you know, they might want to cut the deal. Sometimes that's, you know, once the deal is done, just a piece of the transaction itself and the monetary gain or the percentage of the sale price. But another arrangement could be for the broker to actually potentially start to partner with you in trying to get these deals done and having equity in some of the deals. How do you think about that?
That's the beautiful thing about investing. And again, this is why I want to teach people how to think, because people think in these silos. They want you to tell them what to do, and then they think in the silo of whatever instruction you give them, and so they can't come up with these different ideas around creative financing on how to get a deal done. So if you got to break the broker off a piece of the equity, why not? If it makes sense. Sometimes somebody might ask for some equity that's too much and it doesn't make sense for you anymore. So then it doesn't make sense. But if you like the broker, you want to do business with the broker or whatever, if it still makes sense for you, why not? Especially if they're spoon feeding you certain things, why not?
Love it. Love it. Yeah, because if you've got a good relationship with the person, right, and their specialty, right, is finding these businesses and whatnot, there can be a really strong alliance that you can build where you guys can go out and roll up businesses in a particular sector, right? And rolling up is essentially, I'll actually let you explain what does it mean to roll up businesses, and also, do you think it's a good idea for people to niche down when trying to do this, like to find a specific kind of area that they think is either relevant to them, or how to look at that as far as acquiring businesses in this kind of way?
I'm going to answer that question first about niching down. Actually do an exercise within my community. So I have a private community called the Profit Door. And within our community, one of the things that I require is that all of our investors, they come up with an investment thesis, right? What does that mean? I need you to have a thesis before investing, because that's how con we back in the day where they used to be con men, con women. Now they call it scammers. Okay. So that's how scammers end up scamming people, because they sell you on the thesis and the investment, right? So if I say to you, hey, listen, I know you were looking to invest some money, but did you know that water is the main thing? And so like people are 2xing their money on water, and I just sell you on water. They 2x, and you buy it today, tomorrow you can cash out and get a double your money. And so guess what? I got a water business. So I done sold you on the thing. You haven't done any validation. You haven't stress tested, nothing. And I got you so hyped, and now here I'm going to sell you on this. Okay. That's how the scammers scam. Okay. What I need anybody to do, right? And this is why I run the community, because we are a 506c. That means we can advertise to invest for investors. We can get into that if you want later. I am not here to I'm not trying to convince someone that apartment investing or assisted living facilities, investing in apartment buildings or assisted living facilities is the thing. And so therefore you need to invest in our fund. I don't need you to invest in anything that you don't understand. Listen, writing's on the wall. I'll explain it to you, but I need you to do your own research. I need you to believe in it. You need to develop an investment thesis. Your investment thesis can be broad or it can be niche. So I wanted to explain that, because you said, should they niche down? I don't know. What do you believe is going to happen in the marketplace? Do you think AI is going, no matter what, AI is going to pop off, that there is no bubble and AI is the last frontier in terms of technology? And it doesn't matter, as long as they got AI, they'll win. If that's what you believe, do that. Do you believe, hey, AI that does this, agentic AI that services businesses, yes, and yes. Okay. So I don't want you to think about, hey, I need to niche down like this. I need you to develop a thesis about what you think is going to happen in the market. What is going to happen in the future based on everything that you know, that you see. What do you think is going to happen? Once you figure that out, then find investments that fit your criteria.
If someone's new to this, how do they develop a solid investment thesis?
So there's actually a 5-part framework that I have developed for my members. I'm not going to give y'all all of it. I'll give y'all all of it offline. But if you're not a member, let me see what I want to share. It depends on how much I want to talk. Hold on, let me pull it up right now. Give me a second, because I didn't think you was going to ask me this.
We didn't know you were going to have a full answer like that in the background, ready to go.
I always got stuff ready. I have frameworks for everything. I'm a framework human. Darn it, where is it? Go ahead, ask me your next question before I'm gonna
go ahead, Keith.
Buy me some time while I look for it.
Yeah. One of the things that you have also brought up throughout this, or I'll give a softball actually. Someone was asking for websites to potentially go out and find and look for some of these types of businesses that you could purchase.
Find a broker. Because if you do find a website, right, like you don't know how to analyze the business yet. That's another thing too, right? It's going to take you some time. Unless you partner with somebody, you're going to need to learn how to analyze a business. I would very much so recommend that you read some books on analyzing businesses. All you need to read is like 2 or 3 books. You still need to know the industry, but only like 2 or 3 books.
Which books do you
not
recommend?
rocket science. Okay, hold on. Let me pull this up. Now y'all got me pulling all this type of stuff up. So
Sorry, we're
quick,
trying to
right?
give as much as we can to everyone.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I collect books.
Nice.
Okay. And I also like to read them. So it's 2 different things going on. Right? I collect books. Some of them I don't read.
Right.
So it's just my thing. Like some
Love
people got the sneaker thing going on. I just like to collect books. But I read a lot. So I have to think about that. All right. Let me pull up the first part of it because it's 2 parts.
Cool.
So the first thing I ask my members, first you need to list out all of your assumptions you're making about the economy, macro, local, industry specific. This can be based on facts or beliefs. I am here for intuition. You just got to know where intuition falls and how you respond to intuition and all that. I'm here for it because sometimes we just have it. We just know something. I don't want it to be based on emotion. But I'm not going to tell you to take your intuition out of it, okay? And this is you, right? Like this is not me, right? You just got to know how you relate to intuition. So list out all the assumptions you're making about the economy, macro, local, and industry specific. This can be based on facts or beliefs. Then the next thing you got to list out is what data points, intuition, and agenda scripts are you basing this on? List them all out, okay? You need to understand, this is why watching shows like this, and this is specifically anyone who's watching this, you're already pre-qualified, right? Because you're here to get data points. You're here to get insight. You already have some things that you believe about the economy, all right? The problem with a lot of people, and the thing that keeps you from knowing this, hey, I can buy some businesses and actually executing it, is taking your information, your data, your pattern recognition, and knowing how to execute on it. Did you know that execution is a skill? This is something I'm really, truly learning right now because I've always been an executor, and I think I've been hyper aware of what the instances were that makes me execute versus not execute, like what environment I need to cultivate for myself to actually execute. I'm learning this because I've been also in the coaching business for a very long time. And I think now, because the time is of the essence with our volatility situation we got going on, because the time is of the essence, people are literally getting smack dead with they're being confronted with their execution issues, right? Before you can think about it as procrastination, because it's like, hey, we live in America. Anything is possible. That's about to change. There's going to be a divide. It's going to be harder to cross over from poor to rich and back again and back. It's going to be harder with AI. Okay? So time is of the essence. I'm not a huge Elon Musk fan, but Elon Musk said 5 years, you got 5 years left to get rich. There is some, I don't want to say fact. There is some truth in that because everything is going to be different. America is changing. Throughout human history, the idea of going from poor to rich, that is not a thing. 99% of the time throughout human history, you can't cross boundaries. When you're poor, your family's poor, that's how it's been for the last 100 years. When you're rich, old money. You want to come over here? Let me kick you in your face. Come jump. I'm going to kick you right in your face. That's how history has been. We have been so spoiled in this idea that I can cross over, that we have taken it for granted and procrastinated. Some of y'all got purposes, God-given purposes, and you're like, I can get to it tomorrow. What's on Netflix? I can get to it tomorrow. Let me focus, spend more time on my job than on this business. Right?
A word that gets thrown around a lot. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I want people to understand, you got to list out what you're gathering from all of this. And then now we can start mapping out the execution. Mm-hmm.
Totally.
I'll pull the other one up in a minute. But go ahead.
Awesome.
What was your next thing?
I was just going to say that a word that people may have heard a lot that I think relates to what you're saying is becoming someone who's high agency. I think a lot of people who have these dreams, they've never really been in an environment where they were forced to come up with their own curriculum, right? Or their own course of actions. They were given a set of procedures and they just followed it, right? So the people that come up with their own, they're gonna win.
Love it.
That's why the modern day school system, it doesn't teach you that.
No, not at all.
It teaches you the other. Hey, we want you to figure things out, but figure them out within this controlled system.
Yeah, exactly like this. Is that really figuring it out? I don't know.
No.
Wanted to quickly share this. I'm not going to play the audio because it's copywritten, but someone just sent me this the other day. My friend Tristan, he said, realizing you genuinely have a few more years left to accumulate as many assets as possible before currency debasement and AI leaves you in the underclass. A little meme that was on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
This is definitely a real concern that a lot of people have. Raoul Pal has talked about this in, what does he call it?
He just released a piece. Is that what you're referring to?
He might have. He's been talking about this for a few years. He's like the exponential age. And
yeah, he released something last night called the Universal Code.
Okay.
So it's basically, I think he's developed a core thesis to connect all the threads he's been sharing.
Love it. Love it.
Yes. Send that to me. Okay. Just because you put me onto something, I'm going to share the whole next steps.
Let's go.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's go.
Okay. All right. So step 1, assumption sorting. Pull your assumption list. Label each assumption. Database, pattern-based, narrative-based, or narrative-based. Tell them plainly, if your thesis is mostly C, you're not investing. You're echoing. Mark each item live. Okay. Step 2, kill weak assumptions. Now we're going to pressure test. For each assumption, answer, what would prove this wrong? What indicator would invalidate this? What would need to change for me to reverse this belief? You can't answer, it's not a usable assumption. An assumption you can't falsify is not a tool, it's a bias. Cross out the weak ones. Okay. Even if you can pressure test it, you're only crossing out the weak ones, not the ones that don't have any way for you to pressure test it. Okay. Then the next step 3. Now you're going to build the thesis statement. So it's going to be example. I believe financing conditions will stay tight for small operators within the next 18 months because bank lending standards are tightening. Refinance volume is dropping and smaller owners have floating debt. Therefore, I expect more distressed small multifamily assets, which creates opportunities in direct to owner acquisitions and structured seller financing. That's an example. Okay. But during this, you're going to, the template that you're going to use is, I believe that 1 to 2 sentences, macro or industry claim, because your top 3 strongest assumptions only. Therefore, I expect your specific outcome. This is price, demand, margins, behavior shift, which creates opportunity in asset classes, strategy, a business model, or customer segment. Okay. Then step 4, you're going to convert your thesis to strategy. Classify your thesis into one lane. As is your thesis telling you to be defensive, accumulative, opportunistic, expansionary, cash preserving, market share grabbing? No mixed answers, pick one. Indecision does not mean it means you have no thesis. Step 5, this is important. Now you have to develop. Now depends on who you are. If you're purely what I would call an LP, like you're just investing in other things, I don't even know if you would need a business model. But if you're a general partner, like you're running a business, even if it's an investment business, what is the business model? One of the things that's funny, because I didn't even realize this. I always try to teach all of my students or my members, develop like a flywheel. And then someone had gave me the book by the guy who wrote Good to Great. It's called The Flywheel or something. What is it called?
Jim
Good.
Collins is the
Jim
author.
Collins. Okay. Flywheel, Jim Collins.
Yeah, I think it is the flywheel.
It's called The Flywheel. That's what it's called.
I think
So it's a real
turning the
short book.
flywheel.
Turning the Flywheel. There we go. It's a real short book. And so I was like, over the weekend, I'm going to read it real quick. And I got halfway through it. I'm like, I already know this. So what you're going to do is you're going to take all that work that you did, right? All those steps. It should take you like a couple hours. That's even if you already know what you believe about the economy, about the market. After you know what you believe, it should take you maybe an hour or two, maybe 3. And then you want to develop a flywheel. Again, I'm not going to read this book because I always create all my businesses based in a flywheel. This is how you make it so that your business is not duplicatable, right? People will see you doing something and they're like, I want to do it. And you just be like, it don't matter. You know, my flywheel is, I don't want to say complicated, but there's a lot of moving parts here. This is how you make what you're doing not duplicatable. I highly recommend that you read this book. Again, I'm going to toot my own horn. I got halfway through. I'm like, I already know this. I've been doing flywheels for businesses for a long time. But he does a really good job of explaining it because what he's basically saying is there's like 6 things that you need to accomplish in your business that help the business grow, and they all kind of cycle. So for instance, let's say Keith, let's say you're an investor in what do you invest in?
I'm going to own a bunch of apartment buildings.
You own a bunch of apartment buildings. Okay. So you have this show with Ben. Ben, what do you do?
I start businesses.
You start businesses. Okay. So let's say, for instance, you guys come together and you say, all right, we're going to do all of this together. We're going to create like an ecosystem. This is a hypothetical situation. We start our podcast. The podcast, we're going to do bomb content. We're going to bring bomb people on. And at the end of the podcast, we're going to give them some really great stock picks, but they got to sign up for our newsletter. When they sign up for our newsletter, we're going to, let's say, for instance, put them on this email automation that hopefully gets them to buy or patronize one of your businesses, Ben. So that business grows, and then we're going to take all of our profits and put them into apartment buildings. Okay. And then the people in the apartment buildings, as soon as they come in or whatever, we're going to put them in our funnel to get them on our YouTube channel. Now, that's not a very effective thing, but the whole idea, you see how it circles back around, right?
It feeds itself.
Tenants go to the apartment building. Go to the YouTube channel. YouTube channel goes to the business goes to the profit, goes back to the apartment building. So it's a big flywheel. So as long as you get to start that flywheel, but you have to start with a thesis. What do you think is going to happen?
That's fair. And that's so much of online business or just business in general, is that people think that it's always going to be that hard when the 0 to 1 is usually the most difficult part.
Right. Love that. And then Nicole, you talked a little bit about the difference between a fund and a syndication at one point. So for people who are thinking about going out and acquiring businesses, there's different models to which they could go about doing that. And what is the difference between a fund and a syndication, and why do you prefer a fund over a syndication?
It's super simple. So a syndication, basically, when you're doing a syndication, if you're acquiring something large, like either an apartment building, or you could probably do it with a business. I don't know, it sounds like a headache, but you could probably do it with a business. What you're doing is you have to first identify the asset that you want to invest in. Then you're going to raise money based on the quality of that asset. So let's say you find 123 Main Street. That's a huge apartment building. You're able to get it at pennies on the dollar. Oh my God, this is great. It's a great deal. You got about, depending on how, what the terms are, you got about anywhere from around about 60 days to actually come up with the money to get to the closing table. So for 60 days, you are shopping this apartment building around to investors. And the way that the way that the money is basically pulled together, it is a syndication. Okay. Right. Hey, you invested of our total $1 million that we needed to raise. You invested 100,000. So it depends on how you structure it. You get 10%. You own 10% of the profits. Hey, you invested 500,000. You get 50% of the profits. It is a syndication, right? A fund works differently. A fund says, hey, this is our investment thesis. This is how dope our team is. This is how dope we are. We really know how to underwrite these deals. We want to get more than one at a time, but so we need you to invest in the fund, and the fund then makes investment decisions. A fund is called a blind pool fund. That's really is a short for a blind pool fund, which means you're investing in a basket of goods, and the fund managers are the ones making a decision on what the goods is. Now, can they just go out and buy anything? No. The fund documents outline how you're going to invest and what you're going to invest in, and they will go to jail if they don't abide by the rules. Correct. So it's a lot easier to do that when you're let me be clear. It's more difficult to raise money, but it's easier to invest when you do a fund versus a syndication, because you have way more negotiating power because you've got the money.
Very good distinction there on the difference of what the difficult, right?
The other thing I want to say, doing a fund is way more involved. It is way more expensive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So don't just be like, I'm going to do a fund. Because that happened publicly with an influencer who did a fund, got in big trouble. And then now they're back on the scene, and they just were on I didn't listen to it, but someone told me they went on a podcast, and they were like, it's way more expensive than I thought. We just got quoted, I think, 21,000 from our fund administrator just to basically administrate the fund.
Wow. Yep.
That's not the accountant.
Mm-hmm.
And we paid 30,000 for the fund documents. 40? Right. 40.
Right.
43 to be exact. I do believe it was. But there are some that do it cheaper. Don't get it twisted. Somebody like, she got robbed. I know we met another guy who was a runner-up. We got actually a lot more for the 43. That's another conversation another day. It was a bundle package. We met another guy who did his price was $17,500. Y'all might be young, but they used to call Jeezy the rapper Mr. 17,500 because that was the price of a brick of cocaine back in the day.
Interesting.
And so when the guy said the price is $17,500, I was like, Jeezy, $17,500. So yeah, it's somewhere between on the low end. We also got quoted. We didn't want to go with these other guys. We also got quoted 12. So between 12 and 30, just for the documents.
Right. Just the legal documents to be able to go out and raise money from people. You talked about Ben, did you have something you wanted to say?
I just wanted to address a comment in the chat that we've had a question is, so you've mentioned business brokers a bunch of times. Where should people find a business broker? Like, where do they start that
y'all,
research?
Why y'all acting like this? Google.
We get the questions all the time. Yeah, that's usually my answer as well. But yeah, it is. What do you look for in one that's good or bad? You just recommend having a bunch of conversations?
I'm having a bunch of conversations because one, you want to find one that specializes in a niche. So that's why you need to develop your investment thesis first.
Got it.
Right? Because a jabroni business broker will sell you on the fact that they can help you find anything. They need to know that niche.
Got it.
Okay. The other place that you could look, I'm leaving out LinkedIn. Look up LinkedIn.
Yeah. And also, I mean, depending upon maybe where you are in the world, it might be helpful to go to networking groups in real estate as an example, or local industry places. What are your thoughts on that?
Don't do real estate, because real estate events are so oversaturated with agents and wholesalers and wannabes and hopefuls. So if you're going to do real estate, know that you're going to have to sift through a lot of weeds. If you're going to go to a real estate event, go to a reputable one and try to get in touch with the organizers as much as possible, because the organizers be knowing stuff. Okay. And if you got some money, sponsor, usually not that much money, just to get access to the people. I used to run a lot of real estate events. I did a lot of them. I've done 9 large conferences, and I've done over 1,000 small events. Might even be more. Okay. Did them every couple times a week, every week for years.
Wow.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna tell you right now, I would take on sponsors, right? And if one of my sponsors had a goal outside of like, hey, here's your booth, I'm sending out email blasts about all the things that I promised them. If they had a goal like, hey, I want to meet such and such and such and such, I'm going to make sure that they meet such and such and such and such. And usually the person doing it, they're a center of influence. That's going to be an extrovert anyway that knows. And I already know, because I am that person. You ask me, hey, Nicole, do you know such and such and such and such? 9 times out of 10, I know, and I will connect y'all. Let me know when the wedding is. Okay. Call, send me an invite. So, think like that. If it's not necessarily real estate, if it's like HVAC association, you don't have to be as diligent, because only HVAC people is going to, and it's nothing to be an HVAC hopeful. You know what I'm saying? I want to do HVAC, you in. Real estate, you're just going to get a bunch of hopefuls. So keep that. I'm not saying don't go, just know how to network when you get to those events.
Very, very good point there. Very good point. I wanted to zoom out a little bit as well, to talk a little bit more generally about like what's going on in the economy, as well as just general wealth building, if you've still got some time here. You mentioned that we might be in a little bit of a silent depression. Can you expand a little bit on what signs you're seeing around that, as well as how you feel about the economic data and why you might not be able to look at the raw GDP numbers the same way that you might have in the past?
We don't got enough time. All right. So the first question was, why am I seeing that? I've been saying this for years. First of all, I think a lot of times we discount our own observations, right? For like 2 or 3 years now. For everybody that you know, it's tight. Use your common sense. You talk to 5 people on the phone, and 4 of them like, oh, I can't do this, I can't do that, I don't got enough money for this, I don't got enough money for that. I know a lot of business owners. When I tell you they are all hurting, all of them, and real estate investors getting beat up. I don't need the numbers to tell me this. And this is across all socioeconomic race boundaries. I don't need y'all to tell me what that number is. Also, too, you got to remember, most of these numbers are based on averages. Are you familiar with what a power law is? Anything that's financial, especially income distribution, is a power law. A power law basically says when you chart it, it doesn't really tell you what the whole story is, because power laws can go up infinitely. That infinite number will askew what your idea is. The best way I can describe this is the average of 49 and 51 is 50, but so also is the average of 0 and 100. Okay?
Very well
said. That power law means that it changes everything. So when they're giving you these numbers, it's going to look very sexy, because we have so many wealthy people making so much money on the stock market with a bubble AI going on. Right? So it's so many people AI is propping up the economy right now. For real, for real. You know, we all saw that Pam Bondi was like, the Dow hit 50,000. And it's like, yeah, because we got an AI bubble. Sure. But also when you talk to your cousin Keisha and Uncle Tommy and all of their kids, they're all broke.
Mm-hmm.
What are we talking about? So you have to like really put your thinking cap on. And so we've been seeing this. I've been seeing this for a couple of years. All these small business, America's built on the backs of small business owners. All these small business owners is not having fun at all. And see, I was able, I think I did, I'll never forget this. 2024 was the worst year of my life. A lot of things happened to me that were not fun, okay? And one day, I was in the gym. This was November. I was going through a breakup. In addition, just so many, it was just piled on. And November 2023, I was in the gym. And when I'm in the gym, I zone out. But something hit me and said, Nicole, make a post about how you're not having fun right now. And I couldn't wait to get to my car to make the post. And I was like, hey, I'm not having fun in business. I don't like to talk about my personal life other than my son on social media. So I literally made a post and said, I'm not having fun in business right now. And I think the reason why I wanted to make the post, what sparked that thought was the mere fact that I felt like everybody else was having fun. And I said, hey, well, if you look at my page, I'm only posting when I'm happy. So it almost looks as if I'm trying to create an illusion. And that's not my intent. And to be quite honest, I don't care what anybody thinks of me. So I did the post. I said, hey guys, I'm not taking away from all the amazing moments that I shared. I'm not saying that they were fake. But what I'm saying is I only post when I'm happy. So it does present something. And I'm not posting this because I want any sympathy. I have a lot of people who love and support me. So if I don't talk to you regularly, don't call me. I'm fine. I promise you I'm fine. But I'm not having fun in business right now. And I've been doing this for a long time. That was so freeing to me. To not only was it freeing to me internally, but it also opened up. Now people are sharing more information with me. Do you know all the people that you're looking at online as at that time? People don't do it no more. Where they was doing all that lifestyle posting. All the people at that time that was lifestyle posting, they was picking up the phone calling me. Nicole, I'm so glad you said I had a bad year too. Yeah, well, why did you post that you spent the bag at Gucci store last week? Because I'm just posting fun stuff. I'm not trying to actually actively lie to the people. And so I'm saying all this to say, you have a lot of this stuff online is built to distract you and create an illusion. Even some of these numbers, when it's being reported, if we have the privilege of it having being reported by someone like Jerome Powell, Romy Rome, look at the body language. You know, Donald Trump gets up there. He's got some tells. Look at what's happening around it. Read between the lines. How is everybody telling me this? That is bad out here, but then y'all report this weirdly even GDP number. I think last November the GDP was 3.0, or was maybe the one before that, October something. 3.0 even. This is weird. Why is it so strangely even? That doesn't make me feel good. Then the next one or the one before that was either the one before that or one afterward was negative. And I'm not saying they're lying, but there are ways that they can fudge the numbers. Because it's not easy to calculate. You think it's easy to calculate unemployment? Is it easy to calculate all the goods and services in the whole entire country? Right. It's not easy. So they have to figure out ways. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
We're constantly seeing revisions, right? Massive revisions in the data. So that's another sign. That's definitely telling of what we have to think about when we're seeing these numbers. Last year, I think they revised just a week ago that last year there was 1 million fewer jobs added to the economy than what were reported in the year
But I was telling everybody this number's not right. So is Jerome Powell. So here's the thing, though. Here's the limitation. One, don't ignore the numbers. Don't ignore them. That's important, because even if it's a lie, if you think it's a lie, it's data, right? So here's the thing. Jerome Powell said, hey, every economist knows that the numbers are off by about 40,000. It's inflated by about 40,000 because it's a survey. Every economist knows this. So y'all need to be economists. Okay, let me keep that in my mind. How are we adding all of these jobs, but look in the local, real estate is very much so tied to what's really happening. Deals weren't getting done. They're just not getting done. They just announced it. It's a crazy foreclosure issue right now. I know I keep bringing it up because that's just like blowing my mind.
Mm-hmm. It's massive.
Yeah, you can only say it's not happening for so long.
And all the metrics, right, when it comes to debt, are going pretty high right now. We're seeing credit card delinquencies rising drastically. We read a stat last week that was just like almost basically 1 in 10 people that are aged like, I don't know, it's like 25 to 34 or something like that, are in deep delinquency, right? Where they're 3 months past on their credit card payments. What was the other one I was thinking of? Student loans. Mm-hmm. Student loan debt is like hitting new highs, I think all-time highs for delinquencies as well. So it's all across the board in that category. And so to further like lay out the problem here is that we have a huge bifurcation in what's happening for the consumer. You've got high-end consumers, people making over $140,000 a year, spending more, right? And they have enough money to where their excess spending, while the lower end of people are cutting back, there actually is potentially higher economic growth from the people that are on the higher end of the spending category. So yes, the GDP is going up, right? Because GDP is consumer, or spending, investment, government spending, and net exports. So if the spending category is going up enough from just the higher end consumers, then the number of the GDP can go up and the economy is growing, but people are actually in a worse position. The most people are in a worse position.
Yeah, man. When you understand like the people behind the numbers, that's almost worse. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I mean? Like, right. Because it's further exacerbating the existing issue. And so, yeah, we can play the game. Oh, it's good. Like, if you understand people, it's like, that ain't good.
Right. Nicole?
I would recommend that people look up, and this is why y'all do need to have paid attention in math class. Look up the difference between the mean, the median, and the mode, and ask chat what are the limitations for each.
Mm-hmm.
Love it.
So that'll help you to be able to understand a lot of, the average American makes If the average American is making $60,000 a year, those people that make so much more is bringing it up so high. Mm-hmm. The average is really probably like 30. I don't know. I gotta laugh to keep myself from crying.
That's what we say too. If you don't laugh, you cry, man. Honestly, and we've got a question in the chat for you that's pretty good, so I'll throw it up to you, Nicole, if you're okay with that. Matthew asks, Nicole, if you were talking to your kid, hoping for them to set themselves up for the future, what is the characteristic or skill that is most paramount for them to build?
I love this question because I have a 5-year-old, and it's probably, in terms of passing down skills, this is my favorite stage because he is so moldable.
Mm-hmm. Sponge.
So yes, he's the sweetest kid ever. Y'all not gonna like my answer because you're gonna want me to say some finance technical thing. No.
Do whatever you feels right.
The best skill that you can teach your kid, in my opinion, from 0 to 18 is, depends on the age, right? What you're going to focus on first. People skills. You have to make sure your kid has high emotional intelligence, like being able to lean into those opportunities or those times when they're having extreme emotions or seeing people have extreme emotions in being able to sort through that. Because the people that win in this country or in this world are the people that have high emotional intelligence. It's been like this throughout history. Right now, I always say, y'all be laughing at Donald Trump and saying that he's not that bright, or whoever does, right? Whoever does. I'm not pro any politician. Let me be very, very clear. Okay. Not pro any politician. If you want power, that's a problem. That's already a problem. You probably pre-qualified yourself. That's a problem. But these jobs is whack and y'all want them that bad.
Right.
Y'all are weird. Okay. but you can say whatever you want to say about him. He talks at a fifth grade reading level, all the things. This dude has a very high emotional intelligence. He knows how to get people to fall in love with him. He knows how to get people. Pam Bondi, you knew you was a scapegoat in a punching bag, and you did that job anyway. They all do. I will die for Donald Trump. I'm not saying be manipulative and get people to die for you, but you go far in this world when you know how to relate and care for people and make them feel seen. So like that's top number one. Number two skill that I focus on with my son is problem solving. When your child has a problem, just in general, every time my child has a problem, I don't let it go. Like we just let it. We need to talk through the solving of the problem. So right now we're at this stage where you have a problem and he would rather complain about it than figure out a solution. So the rule in the house is you cannot complain until you've thoroughly exhausted all your potential solutions. If you don't want to, sometimes we don't want to. That's okay. Don't complain to me. I don't want to hear it. Sit there and be miserable. And so that's just one of the skills. That's one of the things that I'm teaching him in that. The other thing I would teach my kid that's going to be like major in their generation, teach them how to focus and pay attention, because all of these kids are getting babysat through these devices. They're learning early on how to not pay attention. And a kid that knows how to pay attention and focus will have so much of an advantage. It's going to be way more of an advantage. Just being able, like I'm seeing it with adults. Sometimes I'll go out to an event and some of these adults that are just like, you can tell they're dopamine up. You hold in a conversation with them and they can't even help it. They're interested, but they're just like, and I don't know if it's just me. I've been noticing it more. Like I may be explaining something that requires 3 steps, like I'm explaining right now. They can't stay past step 1. Like, hold on, I haven't finished yet. Now you're moving on to the next topic. That's a function of the scrolling.
Totally.
In social media. And so I already know you're doomed. Your business is because you can't sit and focus and think on a problem.
Yeah, I call the phone the adult pacifier, right? Whenever there's a bit of discomfort, they retreat to the phone, and then you're losing all of those individual opportunities for growth, because all growth requires discomfort. Like just think about it on a foundational layer. You can't grow without discomfort. Like they are connected, right? And so when Nicole comes with a point, you're probably overwhelming them even with something simple. And it's in the second they feel overwhelmed, they've trained that response. When I get this feeling, I reach for pacifier, right? Because now you don't have to feel anything in here, you're numb. So yeah, it's a very big problem we talk about all the time. That's a great perspective on that. Because if you think that's only going to get worse, people, if you as a young person have that skill, like you're right, Nicole's like, there's going to be a bigger gap of people who have it and don't.
Brene Brown said it so beautifully. She said, AI is going to create a thinking class. Guess what? The wealthy people, they don't let their kids be on social media. They don't let their kids be on. And by wealthy people, I mean like the elites that actually own the social media platforms. They don't let their kids be on social media.
That says a lot.
Kids have tablets. So there's going to be a thinking class. And I want my child to be in the thinking class. We can't decide. So like early in this year, I put him in coding school. Then I'm realizing like, this is going to be stupid because the one guy was talking about how like, hey, I don't just put myself out of job. I vibe code something, walk away for 2 hours, go to lunch, come back, and the app that I vibe that would have taken me months to build is built. So I'm not doing coding school again for myself.
I think it'll still be important to teach them how to learn, though. I think that'll still be very valuable for your son.
I just thought about this over the past day or so I haven't fully thought about it yet. He does like it, so I don't really fully understand what they're doing in there.
Totally.
They're just playing games, but like, I don't fully understand. I haven't fully thought through this, but I guess the point that I'm making is we don't know it. We've been telling our kids do technology and learn coding, and a lot you won't even need it. So I can't pinpoint what my child is going to what skill. The other thing I would say is also this, I know this sounds weird, but like really lean into character development, because we see right now with the release of the Epstein files, I don't know if y'all seeing a lot of these clips coming out of the World Economic Forums about how, I saw a whole speech where the woman was giving a presentation about how they figured out how to control your perception. And she's sitting there telling the information, smiling, basically saying like, we figured out how to control the masses. And she's just so proud of herself. And so I'm saying all this to say, this is the result of people not valuing character and character development with their children. Now we got evil people running the world. I mean, it's always been like this, but it's really bad right now. The fact that they had the people up there talking about Jeffrey Epstein, the victim, and Pam Bondi said $50,000. That blows my mind. You don't even realize how messed up that is. And she doubled down on it too.
Reading off the notes, right? So it's clearly
But you have no idea between right and wrong.
Yeah, I think that also illustrates your point before about like what the actual job of a politician really is. So I think that in a world of endless change, I think you want to try to attach yourself to something universal. And I think the human part of it is really good advice, right? Can you max out those attributes? Everyone's so concerned about the aesthetic stuff. Like there's a big thing in the young male community of like looks maxing, and young men are so obsessed where they think that if they just become more physically attractive, that all their problems will be solved. When I think there should be a lot more people worried about character maxing, you know what I mean? Like becoming a better person. And I think a lot of the problems would actually be solved if they did that, because they wouldn't be around the constant negative energy.
Love that.
And they would also know that it comes from within.
Totally.
Nicole, I wanted to ask you a question about wealth and what that word really means to you. And what do you think are the main things that people get wrong in their pursuit of wealth?
Oh man, I gotta go. Listen, no, this is a good one. I do gotta go, but I'm gonna not answer this question. So something that we haven't talked about is like my relationship with Christ very much so affects or is influences my investing. Okay, I wrote a whole business book. Fred around one. A whole business book is a biblically based business book. Okay, and one of my favorite scriptures is Deuteronomy 8:18. For it is I that gave you the power to get wealth. Okay. One of the issues that people have is they misinterpret what the word wealth means. And so they endlessly go on this, I don't know. They just really don't fully understand it. When you look up in the original text what that word wealth is in Deuteronomy 8:18, the word is Hayil, Hayil. Sometimes it's spelled Chayil. That word is mentioned a lot in the scripture. Okay. Hayil means excellence, army. It means, let me pull it up because I want to make sure I don't leave out anything, because this will answer the question. Hold on, y'all. Why is my internet acting crazy?
Keith, do you want to show Nicole's YouTube channels for anyone else that wants to?
So, everyone, by the way, Nicole has a YouTube channel, and she's blowing up on YouTube. So, the Profit Door right here on YouTube, and the link is in the description of this video. Correct, Ben?
Yeah, it's the first link in the description of this video.
Fantastic. So this is
Thank you.
Nicole's The Profit Door, and then you have a website, correct? Is that theprofitdoor.com?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So right here as well, you can go and see her website, and you can learn more about everything that she's doing over here as well.
Thank you.
Of course.
Okay, so let's get back to this wealth thing. Okay, so Hayil, the word, other translations, other occurrences, the translation is capable, activity, able, valiance, wealth, for war, army, valor. Make sure I get them all. Excellence, virtuous, strength, host. You can look it up. Just Google Deuteronomy 8:18 original text. Okay, so if you get all those words, right? So people only think it means money, but it really means excess of energy. So when you think about an army, right? One of my favorite episodes of Game of Thrones is the episode called Battle of the Bastards. I don't know if y'all remember. Jon Snow went up against the crazy dude that was hunting people, I can't remember, to go and get Sansa Stark back. Okay, and so they both had their armies on the field. Jon Snow, homeboy over here, and then they both individually met out in the middle. And Jon Snow said, "Listen, we got our armies. We don't need to do all this. Won't me and you fight one-on-one?" And the dude said, "Listen, I heard about you. You're nice with this war. I'm not fighting you, but I know I got more men than you." Okay. And so armies, the idea behind this is it's number, excess, right? It only means something. Hey, I'm going to fight you. We're going to fight. Our armies are going to fight. I know I'm going to win because I have more than you. I have excess. Think about what strength is. Strength means, hey, no matter what the resistance you put up against me, I have excess to be able to lift it. Okay. So when we think about wealth, we only think about excess in terms of money, or sometimes people equate wealth to cash flow or cash. It's not that. It is literally your excess, but it is an excess of energy. Excellence. What is excellence? Does it mean perfect? No. It means that you are so good that whatever the thing is, the opposition that comes against you, you have excess goodness to come against it so that you prevail. So for me, when I think about excellence, when I think about wealth, I think about any type of excess. I don't just think about it in terms of money. It is a form of energy. That's why it means so many different types of things. So if you know you don't have a lot of money right now, right? Hey, maybe your debts are more than your assets. A good way to channel that into your money is to think about different areas where you have excess energy or an energetic force. So when people say I'm wealthy in health, yes, that's how they're able to pull it in. You always hear the rich people, they say I'm wealthy, but I'm really wealthy in family. I'm really wealthy in this, and they're using the other energies to channel it to their money. So when you're thinking about it in terms of money, your mind automatically goes to scarcity. So you can't channel it, the financial portion of it. And at the end of the day, we got all this volatility going on. Those wealthy people, the same way that crypto went from 120 to 60, they can go from rich to poor overnight. These banks, they are hurting. Regional banks are hurting right now. They had all these assets on their books. It could change. So wealth for me is all about energetic excess. And so we'll go back to the original scripture. Remember, it is I, this is God saying this, because God is making this promise to Moses. Hey, when you get over there into the promised land, don't forget, it's me that gives you the ability to get excess. Because everybody doesn't have the ability to have excess energy or to be able to channel the excess energy. That is what wealth means to me.
That's fantastic.
Wow.
That's awesome. And I think that the people throw out the saying like attracts like a lot, but I think how Nicole just explained that is really, really powerful, because if you can find something that you are wealthy in and that becomes the point of focus, it becomes a lot easier to attract that in every other area where wealth is possible. So that's really, really, that's awesome. Thank you, Nicole.
Love that, Nicole. Nicole, I do have to ask you really quickly to share your thoughts on crypto and Bitcoin and what it means for the future, or you can quickly touch on it.
Not investment advice. Not investment advice. Fiat currencies are going away. It's going to be a thing of the past. And the whole plan was from day one, we were going to make the transition to get currency into crypto. Bitcoin is just going to be the wealth storage. It's going to be kind of like gold. Do I know what they're going to use on a day-to-day basis? I have a weird fringe theory. This is just a theory. This is fun. For fun. You saying for fun? For fun. Okay. I think that eventually we're going to end up using that crazy Trump coin for our day-to-day transactions, because Donald Trump going to figure out a way to give a bunch of people money, but it's going to be in Trump coin. That's just my opinion. Hi, people.
I don't think that's crazy.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, so it's not going to not be a thing. Absolutely. It's you need to just accept it. If you don't have a whole lot of money, buy a little bit of Bitcoin. Dollar cost average, buy a couple dollars, every week or whatever. If you got more money, factor it in. But gold can't back everything. One, because it's not finite, right? And the wealthy, they needed to be a limited resource, because guess what? If we wanted to, we can go and mine more gold. And everything has to exist in this idea of scarcity with the powers that be right now. Like, we have to have finite. Y'all know you can only mine. You can't mine more than 21 million Bitcoin. We're already at almost 20. Okay, so it's got to be finite. It's just going to be the new version of gold. You can't like transfer gold over the internet. So they were like, listen, this whole thing, we're moving digitally. They decided 20 years ago, things are moving digitally. The internet is really a thing. Like, what are we going to do? I can't send you gold bars over the internet. By the way, let's come up with a solution. But by the way, the fact that we can mine more gold, random people can just find gold. We don't like that. Let's figure out another solution that makes it finite and we can transfer it digitally. Here we are.
Love it. And
there's nothing we can do about it.
Like when you think about it from that perspective of, if I'm in power and I want to maintain my wealth and power in the world, like, it actually, I have a conspiracy hat on the Bitcoin thing. It actually is very beneficial to the people who create the system or who are there first, right? To have this new finite system, because guess what? They've got all the Bitcoin already. So, as much as it's this, permissionless network and anyone can use it, and it's, this great revolution against the system, it's like, look, the people who are there first are the ones who win. And then they laugh at people and say, oh, you deserve the price you pay. And I'm like, there's people who aren't alive to participate in this. So it's a weird way of looking at it. But, anyways, just wanted to add that. But thank you, Nicole.
You're welcome. I had fun, y'all.
We appreciate
So,
you
all
coming
right.
on.
So, if you like me, follow me on YouTube. I'm also on Instagram.
Link down below.
I also, yes, link down below. And then also, I have a newsletter. Actually, go to the, no, what's the easiest way to do this? I got a bomb webinar called the 7 Hidden Wealth Keys. It is an amazing webinar. It is on the website. If you go to profitdoor.com, in the menu, you'll see sign up for the webinar. Also have a free newsletter. Thank you. I also have a free newsletter. You can get that too. But the class is fire. Just come into my world. I got a bunch of content for you to absorb. Come take a walk in my brain and my partners. And thank you for having me.
Of course. Thanks for coming on, Nicole. We really appreciate it.
Our first woman guest on the podcast. We appreciate it, Nicole.
Real quick, I'm telling them the joke.
Air it out. Go for
it. Keith is like, oh, you're our first female podcast. I said, no. You're going to say woman because female is for animals. Okay.
Yeah, we both learned that.
Yes.
Thank you.
No, thank you
fun, guys.
For sure. And we'd love to have you back on in the future.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Okay. Have a great rest of your day.
Sweet. All right, chat.
That's super cool. Yeah.
How was the views in the comments?
So we're still live.
You're live.
Yeah. Oh, you're good. You're good. Everyone enjoyed it though. Feel free to click the leave button. That's on us. You can if you click the leave button.
Ended and then we went backstage. Bye, y'all. Okay.
So you're good. You're good.
I'll reach out after.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's awesome.
Yeah, we got that's on me.
That's our fault.
So yes, this was an incredible episode.
Yeah, she's great. Good energy throughout, a lot of good information. I think she also has obviously presented it a lot of times to people who are new because you could tell by how she breaks it down.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, I love when we have someone who can like break down some of the definitions and the words and making sure that people are as caught up with the conversation as possible. Chat, you guys are hilarious. Saw a lot of funny comments in there, but yeah, I can tell that y'all enjoyed it, which is really, really cool because that's the real goal.
No, 100%, absolutely. So definitely go show her some love. The links are down below to her YouTube channel, Instagram, and we'll add up her website there as well after the stream. But I'm sure you can find it from her YouTube channel or Instagram too.
Yeah, absolutely. So Ben, we've got quite a lot of news that we can dive into.
Let's do it.
Awesome. So first things first, we had so OpenClaw / Moltbot / what was their original name? Claudebot.
Claudebot, yes.
The founder of that, first off, that this internet phenomenon at this point, it was firstly just I guess like I don't even know how to describe it. It's like how do you describe that, Ben?
What Claudebot was?
Yeah.
So essentially it's like and I'm going to butcher the specifics, but it's basically a fully autonomous agent for the most part once it's set up. So one of the biggest issues and limitations with AI right now is that the human has to be involved in a lot of these processes. And so with Claudebot, you could essentially give it a task, and because it had the necessary permissions to essentially execute that task by itself
on your computer,
yes, it would go ahead and do that thing. That's why a lot of people were buying these Mac Minis to set up for the purpose of this, to then they could communicate via, I think it was Telegram or WhatsApp, and tell it what to do, and it would go do it.
So that's another part of the conversation that we're going to have is these MacBook Minis. But so the founder of this, because this blew up all over the place, tons of people are downloading this and using this and talking about it. There was even an application built off of all of this, which was called Moltbook, which is like this Reddit for AI. We've talked about it on the show already. Mm-hmm. But OpenClaw founder actually just joined OpenAI, and the open source bot becomes the foundation. Now, the crazy thing about this was that this was obviously originally done with Claude. Okay. But essentially, this guy has kind of jumped ship and gone over to the dark side, if I may, and joined OpenAI. And there's an actual kind of storyline to this because originally, right, it was called Claudebot, but Claude didn't like that. Okay, so Claude was like, no, you can't call this Claudebot. And so he had to change the name to Moltbot, and then eventually to OpenClaw, what it is now. And so now it's turned out, well, okay, Claude didn't think to try and invite this guy into their ecosystem and make this a part of what they're doing. And instead, now OpenAI has basically swallowed this entire thing up, and it's become a part of the OpenAI ecosystem now.
Yeah, I don't love that, to be honest. Because there's already a lot of security concerns with this in general. Like, if you're not very technically skilled and well versed, like, you're subjecting yourself to a lot of security vulnerabilities with this thing. And then, like, do you trust Sam Altman? Personally, I don't know. So I will also say, there's a little weird connection to, like, the media side of this, is that the guy who made this went on Lex Friedman's show. And Lex Friedman basically asked, like, has anyone approached you trying to buy you? And he said that Meta and OpenAI had been trying to basically partner with him. And so I guess this was a negotiation tactic, because if I recall correctly, I believe that he said that Facebook was a lot nicer to him and he's probably going to go with them. So that was probably a negotiation tactic to get more money out of OpenAI. And obviously that was successful.
Wow. Very, very interesting there. Very interesting. Yeah, I mean, wow. That's a lesson right there in negotiations for anyone.
He read Trump's book, man.
Exactly. So a couple of other things, or just really quickly, actually, the tweet that made me understand the storyline here, right? Names a thing Claude bought. Claude asks for a rename, renames to OpenClaw, OpenAI buys it. So that's the first news story. The second news story is that we've had the head of the CFTC actually come out and make a statement this morning. And I will let him say what he had to say. It's about prediction markets. And this is very fascinating. And so I'll just let it play.
CFTC Chairman Mike Seelig here. Over the past year, American prediction markets have been hit with an onslaught of state-led litigation. In response, the CFTC has today filed a friend of the court brief to defend its exclusive jurisdiction over these derivative markets. Prediction markets aren't new. The CFTC has regulated these markets for over 2 decades. They provide useful functions for society by allowing everyday Americans to hedge commercial risks like increases in temperature and energy price spikes. They also serve as an important check on our news media and our information streams. Today, the CFTC is taking an important step to ensure that these markets have a place here in America and have the integrity and resilience and vibrancy that our derivatives markets deserve. To those who seek to challenge our authority in this space, let me be clear. We will see you in court.
You're muted, buddy.
Yep. So this is making waves over the internet at the moment. My Twitter is tweaking out at the moment, which is unfortunate. But essentially, one of the governors, I think it was the governor of Utah, came out and clapped back at this and was like, hey, well, we're going to see you in court, basically, because I'm going to do everything that I can to make sure that this does not become a thing in my state. Basically pointing out the fact that really all this is really leading to is gambling for young people, and he wants to protect his young residents. And so
we talk about this a lot, and like, the more you look into prediction markets, it's seemingly from a ignorant person like me that's all it seems like. And even in him saying, because we talked about it last episode, we're like, what are the arguments? Do you know what I'm saying? And I guess he laid all of them out, but I think those are incredibly naive perspectives, looking at the problem holistically, right? Like, yes, maybe they've existed for a long period of time, but the people that had access to that could weather a storm of being wrong, right? And we're probably already rich. So, like, it's not the same thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, the problem is the access to everyone, and again, they'll sell it as, oh, like, we're democratizing access to this, but should it have even existed in the first place? Like, that's open to interpretation. But I think who has access to certain things also dictates, like, how they should be viewed, in my opinion.
100%. And it's fascinating because, like, the CFTC, he's basically only looking at this from a markets perspective, and that's his job, right? He's the head of the CFTC, but to claim full jurisdiction over it is kind of interesting too, because, I mean, for instance, the agency to me that makes the most sense that needs to step in here is going to be the FTC, right? The ones who are protecting the consumers, okay? Because that's where the problem lies. It's not about the market mechanics.
Yes.
You can do that. You know what I mean? We get that that's potentially relevant and helpful. But we're talking about who gets access to these platforms and what are the limits around the money that they're allowed to put into that, or however, you know what I mean? And I'm not like a overly pro-regulation person, but when we see the issue before this even becomes a thing,
Yeah,
like I think it's worth
it's a
you know,
yeah,
thinking
it's
about it.
gambling and across every sector has become so much of a free for all, and you really don't truly grasp it until you start paying attention to it more, and then you start seeing how it's everywhere. Like, I'm watching the Olympics with my grandparents, and every other ad is a freaking like gambling ad, man. And it's just really insane. And new sports books pop up like every other day. It's genuinely insane. But we had a correction on something we said about the OpenAI thing. So Willem said,
Okay.
based on recent reports from February 2026, OpenAI did not acquire OpenBot. So I misspoke.
Did I say that?
I think I said that. But like if you're paying him to come exclusively be with you, like yeah, more like maybe not technically is it a purchase, but yeah. So
Yeah.
I probably misspoke.
And we did try to intentionally not use that verbiage, but at the end of the day, this is what everyone's talking about is happening, right? Like this guy is getting paid essentially, I think it was like $1 billion or whatever. It's kind of the number that's kind of floating around. So it's they basically acquired.
From an optics point of view, like we're talking about semantics here. Do you know what I mean? Like, because if people who love this guy, really, what are you paying for? It's this association with the thing that he did, the movement that he's creating. So yeah, but good distinction. And what else do we do? Did you have anything else on the prediction market stuff?
I could try to pull up that governor's statement now because I think, yep. Okay.
Sure.
So really quickly, actually read up his statement. So Governor Cox of Utah, yep. He said, Mike, I appreciate you attempting this with a straight face, but I don't remember the CFTC having authority over the derivative market of LeBron James rebounds.
Yeah, that's a pretty good clapback.
These prediction markets you are breathlessly defending are gambling, pure and simple. They are destroying the lives of families and countless Americans, especially young men. They have no place in Utah. Let me be clear. I will use every resource within my disposal as governor of the sovereign state of Utah and under the Constitution of the United States to beat you in court. Bang, bang. So let the wars on this begin.
Yeah, one of our very first episodes, like we talked about prediction markets and we even joked about potentially doing it. But then the second you look into it for even a minute, you're like, this is not good. Do you know what I mean? But there's enough money where even the people that are feeling that get shut up pretty quick.
Yeah, that's the crazy part is just watching every influencer online just go straight into this stuff.
That's a sign of like so much excess money there, dude. Right? Because advertising with big legacy creators is incredibly expensive, people. Like it's gotten to a point where people understand that like TV is bullshit. And like the best route to a lot of these people is where there's the most trust. And that's typically formed in longer form content or consistent touch points on something like short form. So when you're seeing more and more of these people, they're getting the bag.
Yep. And we're talking about the biggest, like some of the biggest influencers in the world of finance. Like that's a big bill that someone's paying.
Huge. And it's so like the nefarious thing for me is how for a while, like if you pointed someone in the direction of say like a brokerage, unless they got involved with like things like leverage, like they could usually make pretty good decisions without knowing too much, right? And there wasn't that many opportunities to fall into a trap because even to trade with leverage, you still have to kind of figure that thing out, right? Whereas now all these prediction markets, it's so straightforward to a path to gambling.
Like there isn't a good thing to do, right? Like there isn't a thing there that's going to provide long-term alpha for you in your life.
Yeah.
Versus a brokerage, you can go and buy the S&P 500. In fact, that's what you should be doing there. You go in there to do. Yes. That's like the default is to buy the indices and watch them go up and participate in the growth of your country.
Totally.
Right? Versus there's nothing that you're getting out of going onto these prediction markets. And yet it's one click, one tap away. And it might even be the first option. Right.
I think that a lot of this stuff will age poorly. Like on a long enough time horizon, maybe they can just strong arm it. But I feel like people's lives are getting so destroyed by it all that if the right people are there, like where a lot of people get away with this stuff is that they're typically arguing with people that either aren't as well informed or aren't as combative. Right. So then they say these magical words or associations that are affiliated with this. And then it's like, okay, well, I guess I can't argue that.
Right. And Matthew just made such a good point that I'm like totally on board with because he said he saw LeBron on a DraftKings ad actually. And he said, Man needs no money at all. How big must the bag have been? And Ben and I's conversations are about that exactly. It's like these are
All
the
the
people
time.
who have, you can advertise anything, bro, and you've
Yeah.
got so much money that you've already made. Like, why?
It boggles my mind, like thinking about it, because that's it, right? It's like, well, at one point, like, what is enough? And then also, you can also just advertise good shit,
Right.
right? But the problem with this is that, oh, and I think I shared it with you where there was this stats Twitter page that said like 50%, 7% of Americans that gambled last year or something like that were women. Did I say that correctly?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Okay. And someone who's in the gambling world said, should I explain what's going on here?
Right.
So essentially, a lot of people are so broke, but you need an identity to sign up for these platforms. So what a lot of guys are doing, and I'm not sure that that number is accurate, but I'm sure this is happening a fair amount, where guys are either going to their mom or their sister or their girlfriend and basically saying, can I sign you up for an account so I can get the referral bonus and the sign up bonus, right? So because a lot of people are broke that are gambling.
Exactly. And so, oh man. Okay, yeah. So world of statistics, US online gambling statistics show that 57% of online gamblers in the US are female. And that's not true. Men create under their girlfriend's name to get the promotion for new users, right? So yeah, very, very important point. And then the other point of this that I was just thinking about is like, wait a minute. If these companies, this is basic math, have all of this money to pay these influencers, they must have an incredibly profitable business model.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Which means that no one is making money on these platforms.
Well, if you look at the rise of the exacerbation of the K, there's a pretty direct time correlation towards where gambling became fairly a free for all, right? So they also need ways into different markets, right? So the prediction market is like the ultimate attraction mechanism because, like we talked about, you can be into geopolitics and now you can start getting the high of gambling on these things. And also, we got to remember here too, guys, is that like I was talking about this last night with my girlfriend, where I was like, a lot of these things are manufactured, right? And so, like, I've made some predictions on the show that I think some of them will probably come true. But when we blow up, eventually, like, people will try to make money off of like doing the opposite of what we say, right? Like that happens all the time. So that's why you should never listen to someone if they've been right a few times in a row. Not only will eventually everyone be wrong, but eventually sometimes people will be like making money off of the fact of like manipulating to make the opposite thing happen. Do you get what I'm saying?
Yep. 100%.
And a lot of people just don't like think about that, and then they're like either blaming the individual. So there's a lot of stuff there, but yeah, it's super messed up. And celebrity after celebrity is affiliating with the gambling sites, and then now a whole new can of worms is opened up where different kinds of creators can now affiliate with prediction markets because it's not seen as bad.
Someone else brought up another trend that happened in the middle of all of this, the promotion of these sites, and it's the NIL deals and like college kids getting able to get paid,
bro.
And they're definitely, I mean, I don't blame them.
No,
right?
they were getting ripped off for a very long time.
Yeah.
But it obviously wasn't handled well.
Yeah. So yeah, you definitely see those kids. I mean, they were probably the most impactful because they're the closest to that young person.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And at scale, you can reach like the guy who just came out of my neighborhood and is like on TV now. And he's now promoting, you know what I mean?
And
like,
how else do you get there if you're not an athlete?
Yeah. Yeah. So
everyone wants to jump, right? Like and because optically, whether it's on social media or athletics now, that does actually happen. Right. So if there's like if everyone on the screen is jumping there, everyone who's not able to do that feels like an idiot, right? So they're going to go to the one place where they could do that theoretically, even though mathematically they're almost 0% chance of happening. So it's really, really messed up. It's sad. I think a lot of it's also happening because people aren't aware of it fully, right? Like it's different between saying something and like knowing that it's happening and understanding on a fundamental level how that's shifting people's lives, right? Because it's easy to just say in passing, like, oh, there's another gambling ad. But like you said, like, how is that even possible? Right? Like everything has connections to bigger and more things.
100%, man.
What do you got next for us?
Okay. So next big thing is Canada. your country.
Oh, Canada.
Making some big moves. So in general, right, we've talked about the New World Order. That Mark Carney himself. Okay, everybody chill out. He said
it ain't us. Chill on the Wikipedia thing that's going to pop up under our video.
He said that we're moving into a new world order. And as he said that, he was basically signing a deal with China, and they've continued to kind of make some arrangements. So Mark Carney said, we're renewing Canada's relationship with China as part of their new strategic partnership. China is granting visa-free travel for Canadians. Ben?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. China. I will not. I probably won't be going, but yeah, it's definitely a move.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually something that came up for me in my life, I guess, recently, just thinking. It's like the past couple of years I've been traveling. It's like, you can't even go to China as an American without a visa, which is a very interesting, that there's not many places right in the world that an American can't go, but China's one of them. And Americans for sure discount how big of a deal it is to be able to just go visa free into countries. Like, people can't just come to the US like
that. It's not normal.
Sure. So it's a pretty big deal that he would open that relationship with China. Also, in general, people are pointing out that there's something big going on here. It's almost like this is the man's moment. Amid Trump's tariff tantrums, says Marlene Robertson, the EU and the 12-nation CPTPP, which, by the way, is the Comprehensive and Progressive Agreement for Trans-Pacific Partnerships. I guess this is like a trade deal kind of arrangement. They're preparing a massive trade alliance, potentially covering 40% of global GDP, integrating supply chains across Europe, Canada, Japan, and others. This venture will be led by PM Mark Carney. Mark Carney is stepping up to the plate just like he promised. Now, I don't know that this is news, right? But what I would say is that this is something that we have to keep an eye on, right? As far as like, what is this new world order that they're referring to? This is pretty funny.
What's up?
Vote Mark Carney. But just definitely something to keep an eye on here as things continue to shape up with the US and Canada kind of having some issues.
Yeah. Well, if things are real, which I don't think they are, I think all of this is like theater, to be honest, like across the board. Like we act like, oh, this and this. I think it's all coordinated but whatever. Like, let's play the game of this. This is real. Of course he has to do this, right? Because you're in a position where your closest proximity is the States. You have no other leverage. Like, you've got to do something like this to create a form of leverage, right? So I get why they're doing it. The Canadian economy is also not in the best state, and I'm sure that's the same for everyone else who's involved with this. And so I'm sure that it's a fairly obvious thing to try to do. He also talked about it at Davos, right? About how it's changing and how the medium powers need to come together. You got to think that Trump will hit him with 1,000,000% tariffs here pretty shortly.
That's exactly what everyone's been saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, they said 100% tariffs loading, basically.
Yeah. And we're so reliant with you guys, bro. Like, our economy. But you can't beat, like, geography and logistics are undefeated. If we're talking about like global trade, okay, yeah, it's cool. I can make a deal with somebody in Europe. If the part that I need takes 2 weeks to get here now, like, is that really solving the problem?
Good point. Yep. And then I saw some news and some headlines around the US and Iran at least holding talks and getting closer to having some sort of an agreement around the clash that's happening over there.
Okay.
Now, I'm also recognizing that I might have to double check my sources on the news that I had to share about that.
Okay.
So I won't necessarily go any further. Okay, so Iran's foreign minister this morning said, we've reached an understanding on main principles with the United States. So I'll just pull up what I'm looking at now. This is just Financial Juice, which is one of my favorites to kind of get the real-time stuff for anybody who wants to know that. We've reached an understanding on main principles with the U.S. And that's, at the end of the day, that's all we got. So nothing major there. This has been an interesting couple of years regarding that, I guess, year and a month of like, we've reached a deal. And it's like, okay.
What does this mean?
What does that mean? We've reached some sort of an agreement with, that's one thing that we love about like blockchain, and stuff. It's like, okay, well, if there's been a deal reached, publish it on chain so that everyone can go and see it, essentially, is what I'm saying.
And it's done.
Yeah. But until that's the case, then none of that really means absolutely anything.
No, this stuff happens so much now that even crypto. Remember when we used to care about these kind of things and used to move the price?
Right. And that's something that we're seeing now is nothing's moving.
Man, like the news stories that we get, both good and bad, over the last 2 or so years, like back, like even a few cycles ago, would have like radically moved the charts.
Facts. And you're breaking up a little bit. I don't know if you guys are experiencing that as well. I'm getting some robot voice from you.
Oh, my bad. Is it better now?
It's not. It's actually still lagging around. I guess people also were asking about X money, which we talked about a little bit in the last episode. But
that's awesome. We reached an agreement on when an agreement should be reached by.
Exactly. That's definitely the vibes. I'm gonna pull up the next story that I saw.
Do it up.
And see what can go on with you over there, man. But so just from Watcher Guru, okay, once again, I haven't fully looked into this. Meta patents AI that continues posting and messaging from deceased users' accounts by replicating past online behavior. And I thought no better person to ask about their thoughts on that than Ben Levitt himself.
So patents. So can you repeat what they're doing?
Yeah. So, and you're still robot voicing on
Everyone's saying I'm good, so I think it might be your internet.
Oh, okay, cool. So, what I'm seeing is basically they're saying that once someone I don't know how you would patent this, to be fair, but they have some sort of a patent that will allow them to continue to post on someone's behalf even after they're gone.
Yeah, that's crazy. There's so many angles where you could take that, right? Because Ray Kurzweil, anybody who follows this whole futurist movement, Ray Kurzweil is one of the biggest names. A lot of people call him like the godfather of like AI. He's the guy who coined the term the singularity, which is the term for when we reach a rate of technological change that is so rapid, you can't really pay attention. It's like so fast, right? He basically said that there would be Nobel level advancement, Nobel Prize winning advancements like every single day kind of thing. So you can't even really follow the rate of change. And one of his biggest things for why he wants to do this is essentially to bring his dad back to life, from my understanding. And so if you start like doing this, that also like, that opens a can of worms, I think, too, in terms of like, what does this mean for things too, right? So yeah, I personally don't love it from the sound of it, but I'm sure there's a lot of things I'm not considering.
Yeah, man. Definitely a spooky thought. And I'm just also thinking to myself, like, how do you patent that exactly? Like,
guys, I think a big thing too is that we're always assuming that we're going to have tomorrow's situation when we have tomorrow's problems. Like a lot of these things we're talking about, if you really read into it, it seems like most of these social media platforms are going to become unusable if they actually take place, right? Which doesn't mean that social media will go away unless they take the internet away. It means new platforms will have the chance to emerge. Why could no one try to create a social media platform recently, besides like TikTok is probably the most recent, but they even tried a lot longer before? It's because the moats were just too strong, too big, too wide, right? You needed so much money. You needed and you needed a reason for people to switch. The switching cost on social media is so high. Because like, let's just think about YouTube right now in general. Why do people not go anywhere else? They're like the place for long form content, but they became the place for long-term content because they also solved the problem of search, right? Like a lot of times we talked about like Rumble as a competitor, and their search is so bad, dude. Like so bad. So if the second, like, let's just think about the consumer experience. Like, let's say I come for one stream, but I want to make this my go-to driver for solving problems or discovering new things. If you don't have that sorted out as a platform, people just leave. But if there becomes a big enough need where people really don't want this stuff, I do think that new platforms will have the chance to emerge.
100%, man. It's interesting to see. I mean, technically, the most recent thing was Maltbook, right?
Yeah, but
Just for bots.
Totally. But also, that guy that I talked about on the last episode, what's the something of bugs? The AI guy who,
Yeah.
he made a video about malt book. So
Right. Yeah.
and it was pretty good. So I definitely recommend going to give it a watch. It's something of bugs.
It's Internet of Bugs.
The Internet of Bugs. Yes, thank you for that. So he made a video all about that. And guys, like the problem with this stuff, guys, is that if I could think of a worse, like the worst place currently on the internet for news to transfer, it would probably now be Twitter.
Mm.
And so now, and all of this news gets broken on Twitter. Or like the example that I shared to you is that this is a lot of this is coordinated, and who has more money than the AI companies to coordinate a narrative? Maybe the gambling companies, right? But like who else, right? And because I sent it to you, and I can sniff this stuff. So I want to do a full episode on social media literacy, because when you start spotting it, you see the scams everywhere. Like for example, when the Ray Dalio thing he posted that on Twitter, and he clearly, his company, it's probably not even him, but a company had clearly paid for a bunch of other large accounts to distribute his piece that he wrote on Twitter, because the copy supporting it was almost identical. Right. So clearly these guys were given a script, and it makes it seem like, oh, like this person just loves this piece of content, when really they very likely got paid and they're not disclosing that.
Wow. That would make sense, because it was very, very just like bland.
They're like the same shit.
And so, and this is one of our things that we'll talk about. So let me go ahead and go into it. So Ray Dalio, he launched an article on Twitter called "It's Official, the World Order Has Broken Down." I didn't read the full thing. I'm not going to lie to you guys. Okay, so this leads into another meme. But what I did was I took this and I put it into ChatGPT and asked it what it said. And it told me basically about honestly, it's a big repeating of the things that she's been talking about.
The same things over and over and over, yes.
And so people are kind of roasting the concept. And this guy did another funny video. He's getting a lot of love from us, and he does it every day. He almost comes with a funny video every single day. So I think he deserves some credit.
Oh my God.
Clemente.
Did it again. I mean, guys, this guy doesn't write very often, but when he does, you pay attention. Inject this into your veins, guys. Consume every piece of this content like it's the last meal you're ever going to eat, because this dissects exactly what's going on in the world order and why it's broken. Even though Ray Dalio has been calling for the end of the world every 6 months for the last 30 years, he really did it this time, guys. And if you don't read this, you're absolutely screwed. Guys, he drops so much value in this. This is so fire. If you read one thing, make sure you read this, because it will change your life.
Bro, he's great, because like he says the shit that I would want to say, but I wouldn't be like as expressive as that.
Right.
So yeah, he's very funny. He's great for comedic relief, and that, as someone who lives and breathes on Twitter, like he can pick that up too. His name's Clemente, I think is how it's pronounced.
Yeah,
he's funny, and that's that's the whole thing, right? Is that you can spot these things, and then when you start seeing them, you don't fall for them the same way. Like, because I started marketing on social media and the internet really young. I realized really young, the entire internet is horseshit. And I mean that across the board. Like, even because you always got to understand like the incentives of the people giving you the thing that you want. It's like I was talking with this with my girlfriend last night too, where I was like, if I were to actually truly build this social media platform that I hope to build, like I can't make money from it. It's got to be open sourced. Because the second that you have incentive structures there where there's someone to put pressure on, it'll inevitably will happen. Right? So just think about Google, right? Google started off as this free, amazing service. Obviously, it's probably connected with the US government, but whatever. They solved the problem of search. But when there's gamification of figuring out the distribution of search, all the top rankings were fully bullshit, because it was just people who could either figure it out and gamify it or pay someone who understood. Right. And that trickled into everything else. And so it's not always necessarily nefarious, but it's not a true indication of it being the best because it was ranked the highest. And if people don't understand the inner workings of how these platforms work, you would think it is. Right. Like, for one example that I have personally is that, so I run one of my apps called Follow Buddy. It's the only safe app to find who unfollowed you on Instagram. And in the process of doing that, we reached out to all of the existing articles that are literally like promoting scams that get people banned off of Instagram. And we reached out to one lady who was seen as an expert because she was the top ranking article. She was promoting 5 scams and didn't even know, but she wrote for a big publication.
Wow.
So how crazy is that? Like, you really have to be very literate to use social media and not get screwed, and the internet.
100%, man. Very fascinating take there. I wanted to pull up a quick meme about the Ray Dalio's piece as well. Ashot G says, according to Ray Dalio's article, a regular 2027 day be like 9 a.m. breakfast, 11:15 World War III, 11:40 market crash, 12:10 China overtakes USA, 1 p.m. lunch, 3:20 USA takes back control, 4:10 New World threat appears, and then World War IV, and then you go to dinner. So I thought that was pretty good.
That's also why, guys, like, take back your emotional state, right? Really safeguard what you give your time and attention to. Be a creator. Like, as much as obviously we love hanging out with you and we want you consuming our stuff, apply the things that you're learning, right? Because when you actually have your own passion that you're putting your time and energy towards, you care less about the noise, and you also can kind of see that it is noise, right? So find counterweights, because they don't typically exist on the internet. And also, if someone does the opposite, like, so if you are following someone on Twitter, let's say, and they openly posted bullshit strictly for the purpose of getting exposure, unfollow that person, right? We become so desensitized to it because we think it's just how shit goes.
True.
It doesn't have to go like that. We're rewarding bad behavior. It's not going to stop.
Yeah, that's so true, man. There was accounts that I followed on one of my older ex accounts that would just do that, but I trained myself to just keep scrolling past it.
That's what we do, right?
Yeah.
And I was calling myself out through that tweet that I tweeted last night. It was because, like, I used to do the same thing. I'd be like, this is definitely horse shit. And then I didn't unfollow them for a very long time, where I was like, I got to catch that and get rid of them, because they need to have some sort of repercussion for poor behavior. Otherwise, it'll continue to happen if they're benefiting from it.
So true. I missed that. Let me get you a little like on that. When you find out someone posted something that was BS and they did it strictly for clicks, unfollow that person. Until we stop rewarding bad behavior, it will keep happening, said Ben Levitt. And then
I approve that message.
And what was the comment you just put up on the screen?
It was just someone saying, curate your environment physically and digitally. Absolutely true. And some people can grasp the whole, if you're around bad things and people or places, that makes sense. But people don't think about the thing they spend the majority of their time on, which is their digital environment. Like, you should not be consuming any sort of short form content. I know I sometimes do, and I actually do it even less, but I'm pretty good about not consuming short form content. But there's nothing of value you're going to get in 60 seconds. Like, honestly, and even if you do get that, the other things that are there as trigger points to keep you consuming longer will either completely eliminate that value or greatly diminish it. So that's why I always advocate only long form content that is choice based, and also even limit that. Because it's very easy to mentally masturbate and think like you're making progress. But if you've, like, wanted to do a thing for months and you haven't taken any of the actual actions to do that, you've just consumed a lot about it, you're never going to get out of that trap.
Great point, man. Speaking of digitally curating your environment, James Thorne here has been on a roll of just counter whatever is going on Twitter. So I'm going to read this one off a little bit, or just pieces of it, right? So he's basically saying that when Ray Dalio says the world order has broken down and warns of very, very dark times for the U.S. because of debt, polarization, and a looming capital war, he is effectively betting against America's capacity to adjust within its existing institutional framework. He spent years praising China's governance and long-term planning, while downplaying the fact that China is now wrestling with crushing deflationary pressure and one of the worst demographic outlooks in modern economic history. He celebrates its rise, but largely ignores that an over-levered, property-dependent, aging, shrinking society with chronic excess capacity is not exactly a clean escape hatch from the very debt and growth dilemmas he says will doom the United States. So look at how he expresses that view in markets. He calls gold the safest money, says it is certainly safer than the dollar, and urges investors to put roughly 10 to 15% of their portfolio into it, because today looks like the 1970s, and debt-heavy, credit-dependent assets are destined for trouble. In other words, he is not a neutral diagnostician of American decline. He is a highly public example of the broader pattern I'm describing. Those who make their reputations predicting the end of American systems adaptability almost always express that view by loving gold and structurally positioning for U.S. financial debasement. Mm-hmm. So from what I take away from that is he's basically saying, like, look, incentives, and dude's talking his book. He owns gold.
Yeah, which is, you always got to consider that, man. Everyone always be thinking like that. And I think a lot more countries are screwed in this current system than people realize. And so everyone's always like, oh, America's screwed. But it's like, yeah, but they're not the only one. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They may be the one creating the media and the headlines that we all watch, especially if you're in the West. But I don't think many people are in a very rosy situation, because there's like people, let's say China in particular, people always zoom in on like their tech. It's like that's one part of a country or a region, right? Yes, they might be crushing it there, but what about the human side of all these things, right? There's so many more things to consider. So yeah, I think that's totally fair. You should totally be questioning anything he's saying and everyone else.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll probably bring up another one of this guy's tweets at some point, because he's got some really counter trend takes. It's almost like his whole thing is just like whatever y'all are talking about is BS.
I think we should always do that with pretty well everything, right? Because you always got to play devil's advocate with yourself. I try to train myself to do that. So, I have a really good idea. Why is it the dumbest idea I've ever had? Right. And then you typically find where you would fall before you actually fall, which is a very good practice. JMK said, define short form content. And then Matthew helped us out there. When I'm saying short form content, I'm referring to short form video content. Twitter could potentially fall into that as well if your consumption patterns are there. But I do think the buffer of having to read makes it far less bad, because you're at least aware of it more consistently. But again, I just said my own bad consumption patterns for a long time is that I would just scroll past bullshit instead of unfollowing bullshit. So we should always be auditing these things to improve how you're doing it.
Very, very good point there. And then, okay, I've got a clip for you guys. Okay, so Michael Green is a very well-known kind of macro analyst in the internet space, and he was on a podcast the other day and dropped a really, really cool gem about how Wall Street is manipulating crypto. So let me play you guys a clip from this episode. I think this was a beautiful saying here. Oops.
Comment that you're neutral on Bitcoin, although I think from the standpoint is I don't think you're going out and shorting it because it's an unknown thing. To your point, you just made the argument against yourself would be it could go to 200,000 because it can just easily go to 10,000 as 200,000. So there's no point. So that was my takeaway. I think that's the correct one.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. The only trade I've done in Bitcoin in the past couple of years was a bet between myself and Peter McCormick, who was a noted Bitcoiner, in which he forecasted that Bitcoin would definitely hit 100,000 and was willing to offer 5-to-1 odds against it. The funny part is that so I had to put up 20,000 that it wasn't going to hit 100,000, and he was going to pay me 100,000 if it didn't hit 100,000, right? That allowed me to go out and buy that same option in the market at 1/5 the price he was offering it to me. And so it actually ended up being an extraordinarily profitable trade for me, which, Bitcoiners, of course, didn't understand. Peter, when I tried to renew the bet with him on $1 million, was like, dude, how much money did you make off this bet? And he was extremely disappointed that I didn't lose money. I made money on the bet. That took the joy out of it for him. But that's like, Danny, this. That's what Wall Street is, right? Our objective is to make money no matter what. And if you give us the terms and you express a strong enough belief in anything, we will fleece you.
I have a one.
That ad turned on right as I was done. So perfect. Fascinating. And plays into kind of understanding guys like odds and the way that these odds are expressed in markets through pricing, right? So when he's basically taken this bet that would have been to where even if he was wrong, because the person had so much conviction that he was going to be right, that he actually got better terms on the deal that allowed him to make it a profitable thing to be wrong. Okay. And in general, right, when we're playing around with derivatives and stuff like that, like there's a lot of mechanics that go into, especially like, for instance, an options price, that if you don't understand Greeks, if you don't understand the actual mechanics behind how these derivative contracts actually work, then you could be setting yourself up to be right and still lose. It's exactly how options work a lot of the times. You can have the strike price on something right. You can actually get to the point to where your trade is basically winning most of the time that you're in that trade in an options contract. And just right before right? The expiration of the contract goes up, you end up losing on the bet or whatever it is, and so on. So just something, or just in general, you can even be on the right side of the strike price, right? Where you're in profit on your position on paper, but it's actually not valuable enough because of the increased volatility in the market or whatever. So just things to think about when playing around with derivatives and stuff. But what were your takeaway from all that clip too?
I love when you share this stuff, and you should share a lot more of it whenever you can, because like that's a hard concept for people to understand. But when you understand that concept, you realize how messed up everything else is. Right? Do you understand? You know what I'm saying? Because like, especially from an outsider who's not in this world, they're like, yeah, Wall Street's messed up. But when you see an example and you're like, wait, I can be right and be wrong. You know what I'm saying? Like, then it's like, it clicks, I think, for a lot of people where they're like, this shit is crazy.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think that's, yeah, that's just, I think that's also why we've seen the crypto market that we have seen, is the more that people like this get involved with the market. And if you think about like, who was still here? Because retail had left, right? So who were still holding crypto? It was like the purest of the purest crypto people, probably the easiest people to beat. They made their money in a different game.
Wow.
Right. So like, this is looking back on it, I'm like, yeah, I guess like in retrospect, this could have been fairly obvious that they would do some shit like this, move it down a lot, because that would wipe out so many things, right? Where if they have the ability to do that, he just said they're going to do it. So yeah, I think that's great point.
Yeah. And like you made a really good point. The people that are in the room are the people that have such high conviction.
Yeah, 100%. And I think long enough time horizon, it probably serves people well, but we're losing people by the day, and I can't blame them in terms of quitting crypto. We lost your camera, Keith.
Oh no. So on the screen here is the change in Bitcoin ownership from River. This is some research that they've done about how this changed in 2025. And as you can see here, individuals have gone down a lot as far as the change in Bitcoin ownership, but businesses, funds, and governments have risen drastically.
Change of Bitcoin ownership. Got it. Yeah. It's, how far out do you think we are from like a government, like a big government openly buying Bitcoin?
Well, it's interesting because it's all happening covertly
at
the moment, right?
Yes.
Like it's the sovereign wealth fund or the private sector.
Yes.
Right. So basically acquiring the Bitcoin on behalf of these governments when you really think about it,
Totally.
Right? Michael Saylor, right? Like that's kind of, when you really look at his role, it all kind of starts to make sense that maybe he actually is an operative in the sense of the United States.
I said that a bunch of episodes back.
Yeah, you definitely planted that idea in my head.
And again, everything that we say in here, guys, is like a pure thought exercise. We are blowing smoke out of our ass because I just think that's where you come to interesting things. And so, yeah, anything we're saying, we're not saying it with conviction, like, oh, this person is this. We're running through the thought experiment of, would their behavior make this a possible reality? Then when that happens, how can I align myself, my resources accordingly to potentially benefit from that and make decisions based on my level of conviction in that thought experiment?
Am I here? Can you hear me?
You are here.
Okay. You can hear me and you can see me.
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So there was another clip that I wanted to share, Ben. This was, I don't know if this one's worth bringing up or not. It was basically this guy from Bloomberg Intelligence was on some podcast or something, and he was arguing with another guy about basically a kind of the conversation that we're having right now around like institutions having so much more of a control over the price of Bitcoin and that really being the real determinant of the price.
Mm-hmm.
And so these guys were kind of going back and forth at each other. It was kind of just some beef. There was actually something meaningful happening in this conversation, but I'm going to play this clip first.
Okay.
What's that? Yeah, and it's done this 7 times before where it had a decline.
ETFs.
What's that? ETFs. Yeah, ETF growth may be slower right now.
ETFs. Matthew Pylan, and then get me out.
Yeah, they were, but it was the fastest growing.
They just, it's March the peak. This is things we predicted 5 years ago.
Finish, Mike,
ETFs going mainstream, best practice in history.
Mike,
retail, Joe Schmo jumps on board. Train's over.
Mike,
there you are.
I'm fucking done with you, man. I really am. You won't even let me finish my comment. Fuck you. I mean, man, seriously.
Now I gotta moderate. We have another topic that I want to discuss that I think we can all agree on, and well, I'll be saying FUs too, which is the
Bye,
negative.
guys.
Okay, here, Larry, you're out of here. All right, no problem.
Got him off the pod, man. Just being rude.
He was being rude, objectively.
Yeah. So, an interesting moment there. I think what the Bloomberg intelligence guy was basically saying is that ETFs have led to this infinite amount of Bitcoin being in existence, and because of that, in the financialization in general, that has diverged the price dynamics of people who are saying that this is some limited asset. Right?
Yes.
So
you mentioned that in decent length before, and you went through that tweet that you broke down. And the more that I chewed on that, I was like, that's a very fair thing to consider. But even if they do that, like you can only do that so long, because eventually like you're positioned where you want it to go up too, right? So from like a price standpoint.
I mean, technically the higher the price, right? The higher the fees I'm going to earn too, right? If I'm earning a percentage of the transactions. So yeah, so technically, yeah, you do want a higher price as like a Wall Streeter, as an example. Higher the price, the more fees I'm going to make.
Totally. I think, can you switch? Oh, you can't switch mic when you're live, can you? Because I think
is it messed up?
Yeah, I think you're on your
Dude,
MacBook's mic.
Sucks, bro.
It's not that bad though. It's not that bad. You're good. You're good.
Oh,
So yeah, because I only noticed because when you're muting, I can still hear you. I was like, oh, I don't think that's right. But it doesn't sound that bad. And then also, if anybody does have any issues with audio, we always treat the version that goes onto Spotify with AI for noise purposes. But what other stories do you have for us? What?
All right. So let me see. All right. So first off, Lenny did actually come out, I think, and respond to this guy on Twitter. So let me pull that response up real quick. Lenny was the guy who was like, F you, I'm out of here. And he said, one of us gets paid to be a reporter for Bloomberg and push a narrative. One of us just calls them as he sees them and gets paid to be right as a professional investor. We are not the same. So I just want to share that real quick. And then I had another piece that I thought was interesting, which was this guy, he's a sports commentator. Ben, are you familiar with a guy named Stephen A. Smith?
Oh God, am I ever, bro? I used to want to punch him through my TV when I used to watch a lot of sports.
So he's been opening his horizons lately and has been, the past couple of years, basically positioning himself to make some sort of a run in politics. Okay. So I wanted to point out that he made this interesting statement over the weekend or whatever. Let me play it. Clip.
Make no mistake about it. We wouldn't have a border crisis under my watch. Hell no. We wouldn't have this crime that exists in the streets of New York. You wouldn't hear about me saying defund the police. We ain't defunding any police. I'm calling 911 when there's a problem. I know you're calling 911 when there's a problem. I'll be damned if I'm going to have less police officers out there. There's going to be more. That's me. I would focus on a flourishing economy and making sure we did everything we could, because I believe when you have something to lose, you know how to behave. When you have something to lose, you know how to behave. If you have nothing, you have nothing to lose. And as a result, you're willing to tear down anything, even if it's America, because you feel betrayed by a country that's supposed to be looking out for you and positioning you to thrive instead of wallow in misery and suffering. So, of course, I would pay attention to the economy. I would pay attention to all of those things.
So
go ahead, Keith.
The only reason I'm really bringing this up is, I guess, the play on people in media, finding their way into politics. And I'll just be honest, I'll say it from my heart, like Stephen A. Smith, brother, nobody's voting for you, my guy.
Yeah. Man. Also, like, his job as a professional yapper, I guess that's not too dissimilar from like what a politician is, but like, oh my, could you imagine him as president, man? Like he's made his living like partially pissing people off. Like that's kind of his job.
Exactly. So, and not in the way where it's like somebody actually like likes you and agrees with you. It's like, yeah, it's like, bro, like you're just causing a ruckus.
Yeah, that's his whole role. And he's very well spoken. I'll give him that. He's decently entertaining. But yeah, like even what he's saying is, I would definitely pay attention to the economy.
He said he'd make sure it's thriving or whatever. And I'm like, okay, all right. That's the language we want to hear from you, buddy.
Yeah. No, very interesting. And good luck to you, buddy.
Yeah. So We can move into some memes. I thought I saw some pretty funny ones over the
Let's do it.
weekend. This one was hilarious. We had a 3-day weekend in the United States, bank holiday. Monday, markets were closed for President's Day. And I saw this on Reddit. He said the US markets until Tuesday. And I thought that was absolutely hilarious because that's pretty much what's going on, right? The market's just waiting to take a potential drop with all of the news happening around AI and the developments occurring there. And then we had this video here of this guy trying to explain a problem that he had to one of these AI bots. Okay, it's ChatGPT. So let me play this one real quick.
ChatGPT, I was given a cup by a friend, and the top of the cup is sealed, and the bottom is open. How do I drink from this?
Well, unless you want to wear your drink as a fashion statement, that cup's not going to be very functional. A sealed top means there's no easy way in, and an open bottom means everything pours out. If it's some kind of joke or novelty item, you can have a laugh. Just grab a different cup when you actually want to drink something.
Hold up, so let me show you the cup, right? You think this, I cannot drink from this. Is that correct?
Sure, if you show me the cup, I can take a look and see what's going on. If I can spot some kind of trick or a clever design, I'll let you know if there's a way.
It's right here.
I'm not seeing a cup on my end. Maybe the camera angle isn't showing it or it's not in
Do you
view.
see this orange thing?
Yes, I can see it now. It looks like a novelty cup indeed. If the top is sealed and the bottom is open, that's likely a gag gift. In practical terms, you won't be drinking from that one unless there's some hidden mechanism or
So what if I were to tell you that I could do something like this?
if you've got a trick up your sleeve, I'm curious. Maybe the top isn't actually
Do you see it now?
Guy's a magician.
Over.
I see. So it's one of those reversible designs. When flipped, the open side becomes the top.
So shout out to this guy, I guess Father Pie, for the good video there. You know, just kind of mocking where AI is at the moment and its actual ability to like think versus identify or whatever.
Totally. Yeah. And yeah, it's just and I run into that fairly frequently too, where I'll be talking to it and I'm just like, oh, you're shit at this. You know what I mean? I'll be like, okay, I'm gonna go do my own thing or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, being fully reliant on these systems, I still think we're farther away than people say we are. But it's very good TV, and a lot of people need us to believe that this is imminent.
Fair enough, man. And then, as I was pointing out to earlier when looking at the Ray Dalio thing, this guy right here, Brian Brinkman, says, we've hit this odd moment where folks are using AI to write book-length articles, and then viewers are using AI to reduce it back down to the size of a tweet. And I thought that was pretty good and pretty accurate as to how I'm also starting to use these tools to re-summarize things that I think could be better. Just trying to shorten the time that I'm spending consuming information at the end of the day.
Definitely. That's also a terrifying potential outcome, right? If we become too reliant on these things, right? Because then it could be deliberately adding in like little things and they're not even there. So yeah, it's I would always say like double or triple check. And now with these tools, you can do that faster. Like you can double or triple check, try multiple of them, see how consistent are they. Did one say something that's crazy and one didn't? I think that's very important.
Very true. Very true. So this right here, I think I actually might need your help on, Ben.
Okay.
So this guy is talking about the current state of etymology gooning.
Got it.
And so etymology, everyone, is basically the root of words and the study of the origin of words and the way in which their meanings have changed throughout history. And so Gen Zers, and I'm not counting myself in that, have come up with all of these different. It's three main ones that they're talking about here. There's maxing, mogging, and gooning. Okay, so this kind of builds out a little bit of a matrix of like the different meanings of these different words. You've got maxing, mog maxing, and goon maxing versus max mogging, mog mogging, and goon mogging. And then you've got max gooning, mog gooning, and goon gooning.
Man, the meme you shared about what was it? What's that place called again? It's something Onion.
The Onion. Yeah.
The Onion couldn't come up with stuff that is crazier than reality. Like this is case in point. So like the mogging thing, mogging to my understanding means like you look more attractive than the person. So like if you're around someone and you're the more attractive person, then you're mogging them, is my understanding. This is very popularized from the look maxing community, which clavicular is like the biggest face for currently. He's also getting tied into so many different things, and it is kind of an inevitable reality when someone is super hot on the internet. It usually doesn't last that long. So there's a lot of people who try to latch on, and so that makes people cross different niches. Do you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But these things are crazy.
It's fascinating. So Matthew, I knew because you were using mogging earlier, so I knew you'd have some good stuff for us. So maxing is doing something to the most. Mogging is flexing on someone. And then I have
Keith Moggs Ben for sure.
I don't necessarily agree with that cross central. And then gooning, I don't understand because I know there's another version of gooning, right? But
which means
but I guess gooning is also wasting time, is what this one says.
Yeah, maybe it's evolved.
I guess it's. I mean, see, that's an etymological thing right there, right? Because that is wasting time, right? Gooning. So that's like how words evolve. I have a really cool book that I read on this last year. It's called like Etymologicon, and it was so cool to see how some of the words in the English language have come from things that you would never have thought, but that do have actual like etymological like roots, and it's super fun. One of my favorite ones in there was like soon in the UK used to mean now, but because people kept pulling up late or whatever, or like they were never on time, it meant soon instead. It meant that this will happen soon. It used to mean literally immediately this would happen.
Wow. What's the name of that book? Do you remember?
It's called Etymologicon.
Okay. Etymologicon. Super interesting.
So it was a very, very interesting book. And same thing with like probabilis. Probability. It used to mean that it was certain, and then like scientific discoveries kept being made that proved the thing wrong. And so probabilis and the word probability has become to mean probable versus it used to mean like it was for sure what it was. Yeah. So anyways, and when it comes to etymology and any of these types of like sciences looking back, there's always debates around like what the truth is. So to be fair, that's there. So moving on, we have okay, I thought this was something you'd have an interesting take on, Ben, about the platforms to use right now. This guy said, Rushi Crypto said, maturing is realizing X and YouTube are the only apps that actually improve your life. YouTube makes you smarter. X connects you with the people ahead of you. Everything else just eats your time. What do you think of that, Ben?
I think that's true to a degree. I think that's also a potential trap, right? Because YouTube used the right way makes you smarter. X used the right way connects you with people ahead of you, right? But it's also very easy to fall into the same sort of habits that make doom scrolling bad on a short form platform. So I think this is directionally correct, but additional nuance definitely should be attached to it, because you could just as easily go on YouTube and spend your entire day watching educational content that you do nothing with, right? Which if you're just looking, like, let's say you're someone who's retired and you're just looking to learn, like that's what my grandpa did. The second he got the internet, he just like learned everything. So that's fantastic, right? But it all depends on what are you optimizing towards.
Love it, man. Super, super true. Yeah, I mean, yeah, those are the only platforms that I actually spend extensive time on. It's so wild how Instagram used to be a place to connect, right? At least that's how I still try to use it. It's like I'll look at people that actually care about stories, and that's only when I'm logging in so that I can post. To be clear.
Yeah, and that's how you should use it, right? Because these platforms have been designed by people who they were obsessed, and there's so much at stake to getting people to spend as much time on there as possible by any means necessary. So the people who are creating these platforms, they weren't concerned about you or I. They were concerned about bottom line and their bonuses. And the smartest people in the world were attracted there because they could spend the most money on talent. So yeah,
right.
We bring up these themes like on a recurring basis because they're shaping reality for people.
Yeah. All right. I realize we are deep into time right now. Logan Paul just sold a Pokemon card for $16.5 million. He bought this Pikachu for $5.3 million in 2022. He then fractionalized 51% of this on a platform called Liquid, and then Liquid went under, and he bought those shares back for $250,000, which were worth $2.6 million apparently. And then he just auctioned this card off for $16.5 million, which is the most expensive trading card ever sold. How much did the fractionalized owners on Liquid get? He said 0. So I don't know too much about the story. Ben, have you seen a whole lot about this or any insights?
Yeah, I know a decent amount of it, but I don't want to misspeak and get in trouble by him. Like he's been on a blocking spree, and then also like from my understanding, a legal spree. But basically, and he's opened up a new platform that basically does the same shit as the
fractionalizing.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. So there's a new platform where you can support them. Hopefully they've ironed out the kinks there, and not condoning, not suggesting you use that platform whatsoever, but that does exist now. Yeah. So I typically, anything he's touching, I don't want to be touching pretty much. So yeah, I think there's maybe a top signal for Pokemon cards, at least short term.
Fair enough. There was one other piece of the story around someone basically placed a bet on Polymarket at several price points and made around $300,000. I haven't fully looked at the story, right? I'm just hearing this. He said clearly this person had a sharp sense of the car's potential value. It's possible they were part of Logan Paul's team, or maybe even the buyer themselves, using insider knowledge to cash in on this auction hype.
Yeah, that's the craziness where that becomes possible across so many different things that people aren't privy to. So yeah, that's definitely crazy. The guy spending that much money on it is insane, but obviously it's for the optics of it all. Apparently he's trying to promote a treasure hunt where he's trying to collect the most valuable collectibles for our generation type thing. So he bought it for exposure to that. But at this point in the game, like I don't know how many actual fans Logan has. He's got a lot of followers. How many fans does he have? Yeah, they're definitely good marketers, like him and his brother, obviously fantastic marketers. But when you market like they do, I do think there's like, well, with any fame, there's a lifespan to it. But I think when you are always doing like shock marketing, that can only diminish with effectiveness over time, right? Do you know what I'm saying? Because you're desensitizing your audience to what made you successful every time you do it.
Fair. Last little meme-ish type of thing here is there are generally two types of LLM users, says Mark Cuban. Those that use it to learn everything, and those that use it so that they don't have to learn anything. I thought that was an interesting take.
That's a solid perspective, I think.
I think it's a very interesting take because I'm definitely still in the camp of using it to learn, but there could be ways. I mean, there's a lot of ways that you can use it to actually do things, right?
Yeah, and I think that's so powerful for that. When I used to give the advice of Google it, now you can actually get custom education through an LLM and always double check what. So don't followers equate to fans in this realm? I think the difference comes from what I would consider a fan is like, would someone buy what you're selling? Right. And so, yes, if you have enough people, of course, you're going to get some, but I would imagine like his conversion rate is pretty horrendous at this point of like how many of those people are actually lining up to buy the things that he's selling. That's more what I meant. Hopefully that makes some sense. I have a question from JN. I have a question for people who collect cards, toys, comic books. Why do you collect and what are you going to do with it in 10, 20, 30 years? Are you planning to sell for a profit? That's the point where we're at, especially with Pokemon, is that so many people with so much money have entered the chat where it's like, who's going to buy this from you now? Like that card that he sold for that much money, like who could you possibly sell to that would pay more for that? I do think that, I don't think collectibles are going away by any stretch of the imagination, but there's always these boom and bust cycles where things get too hot. And it seems like Pokemon is at a point where it's alienating actual collectors that aren't super, super rich. And that usually means that it's speculators purely chasing. They don't love it, which usually eventually leads to a drop down. Well,
yes.
We want to wrap up here?
The only other thing would be to go through some of the comments from the last episode. And
sure, we can try to do that quick.
We can very quickly do that. I don't think there was too much. I think there was something, Ben, that you pointed out about someone saying something about the pudgy penguins. I didn't see the comment.
So our buddy who's an NFT guy, where is he? He basically right there. Tone. Bored Ape Yacht Club, hands down, made the playbook for NFTs. Everything Pengu did, apes did first. The coin, the mutants, the blockchain, all of it. Very true. Yeah. And I should have said it like that. That's very true. They did it first. They were just unfortunate with the timing, because a lot more of, not even a lot more, but some more has had success for Pudgy longer term. And that these things can also change. Like everything that Bored Ape has done could may eventually come back in a very big way. And I do think they'll experience some resurgence, but very fair point there.
Cool. And then I saw one from Dan Carney, and this kind of hit for me because I realized Dan Carney said, "Love the long content episode, even when it takes me days to finish." Thank you. Yeah, I realized that, like, if you're not here, it might take days to make it through the pod. So highly encourage, but taking that time.
That's worth doing on stuff that you think is worth giving the time to, right? Because we talked about this super early on, but you're better off having bite-sized chunks of something valuable than like mind-numbing stuff. And so if you deem that this stuff is valuable, then that's a good use of your time if you decide that. But whatever it is, you should be very conscious of that.
That is something we talked about very early on. You talked about that. You're like, you're at work and you can only get little pieces and just...
For a lot of people, that's actually a better way to learn, right? Because if you only got 10, 15 minutes, you're not going to get overwhelmed by the 2 or 3 hour lecture. Like not everyone can sit down and listen to a 3 hour lecture like I can, right? So if you've got 15 minutes, what did you learn that 15 minutes? And then you can go back when you go start the next one, just reread that point. It may actually solidify for you more. So it's always about like tricking yourself in terms of like, how is my current limitation a strength, right? And if you do that enough, you'll figure it out.
Love it. And then Christy G6360 said, replying to Keith for, going to college for Keith. I said, except in law and medical. Law is not taught in law school, statutes and codes are, nor is medicine taught in medical school, all pharmaceutical backed. It's not just in politics and economics that we've been lied to throughout all of modern society. It's all the cults of Rockefeller, they said. So I just wanted to respond to that in saying that, well, I don't disagree with you in any way. The reason I always carve out law and medical specifically is because those are the only 2 places that you have to go to university to be able to get to the next step. That's why.
Great distinction. No, that's awesome. I'm seeing some really good stuff in the chat that I don't want to get too
yeah.
long. But did you have any else? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You finished.
No, that's fine.
You had one from Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle Roberts just said something. It was like, he said, the way you're describing Mr. Beast's situation makes me think a lot about Elon's X Money, which we also had a little bit of discussion on today. But I didn't have anything in particular, I guess, that I really wanted to say about it. I just noted it and wanted to.
Yeah, definitely interesting thought experiment. And who was it? I think someone in our chat, was it John who said it? Where they're like, Mr. Beast is essentially the current day Elon for kids, which was a great perspective. So yeah, definitely things to think about. And these are the kind of stuff that we're talking about, the thought experiments that are good to run through. And then one other comment was someone said, does Ben ever pay attention? And I'm always paying attention. I can do decently well multiple things at once. So you'll notice, like, even when I'm checking the chat, I'm making sure the text's all working. I'm wearing multiple hats. I'm still listening to everything that Keith is saying. In fact, I'm trying to get the best response or the next direction that I can in hopes that we can facilitate the best conversation for you guys. So yes, I am paying attention.
Yeah. It's pretty evident, I think, when Ben is actually responding meaningfully in the conversation, but he's doing a lot to keep up with the chat and everything as well.
Yeah, 100%. So before we wrap up in the chat, I'm seeing some great back and forth on collectibles, right? And yes, our generation, probably not even as much yours, Keith, but definitely mine and older, love Pokemon so much. But I don't think they're captivating the youth as much as we did, because like there wasn't as much saturation for like options for things to do, right? So when we have our nostalgia for Pokemon, yes, it's Pokemon, but it's the fact that all of our friends loved Pokemon too. And like everyone did.
Didn't you send me something on this, on how the retro thing that you sent? You remember that clip? It was like about how retro stuff is so different. The reason we like it so much is because at that time there was so much more of a shared experience.
Yes, yes, totally. And it's the connection to all those things. That's why nostalgia can be so powerful, is because it's not a connection to, it's like the most valuable connection, because everybody will always see their childhood, obviously, unless they went through something really bad, as like a better time. It's like universal across human beings, right? So if you can attach your product or your brand to that, very powerful spreading mechanism. I also had this thought exercise with my buddy when we were talking about this very thing. And I was like, you know what's really crazy is how most of our nostalgia was created by middle-aged men in boardrooms. And it really kind of like, it numbed it down for me when I said it out loud. I'm like, yeah, I probably shouldn't care about this stuff that much. You know what I mean?
That's actually fascinating. That's true, though. That's true.
100%.
Dang, what else was there?
I got nothing else.
Okay. All right. Well, incredible people.
Yeah, we appreciate all of you guys tuning in. I'm going to ask you for Spotify reviews once more.
Ooh.
We are sitting at 56, I think it was last time that I checked.
56 on Memes and Markets, the podcast. Guys, you guys have yet another song that you're getting to see right now of my playlist and what I'm listening to, because I'm sitting here showing you the Spotify that I would love for you guys to go and leave us a 5-star review on. We are at the point where we are starting to mog people in the Spotify review game. So
great tie-in, dude.
So if you will please continue to allow us to mog Max in particular by giving us some reviews on Spotify, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, no, we appreciate that tremendously. It means a lot. Do you have a guest for the next one? Do we have a guest scheduled for Thursday?
For Thursday, at this particular moment in time, we do not, but we got Nicole on the fly, so be on the lookout. You know, you never know what's going to happen.
Things can change. We actually had a different guest scheduled, and then they canceled, not last minute, but on Sunday, I think it was Saturday. And then we found somebody awesome to step in, and she did absolutely amazing.
Yeah, so I did leak it on my live stream on Saturday, who the guest was. And so for anybody who saw that, you know, I won't be leaking guests anymore.
Yeah, it was beyond our control. We're definitely going to try to reschedule, but at the end of the day, it's not within our control. So we'll do everything we can, and the rest is not entirely up to us. But we appreciate you guys joining tremendously. We will be live again on Thursday at 12 Eastern. Anything else from you, Keith?
Nothing else from me. Super appreciative for you guys being here. Have the best day of your life today.
Yes. Go have an awesome day, guys. And we will see all of you guys Thursday, and looking forward to it. Cheers, guys. Bye-bye.